Hey guys, what's up? I'm Alex, as always, and I'm joined today for this special episode by Robyn. Hey man, how's it going? You guys
Hey,
may know
Alex, thanks for
Robyn.
having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I'm really excited to do this. You guys may know Robyn from Twitter on as Astro Hermit. We've interacted quite a bit on there. I'm gonna see. We've actually known each other a couple years now, and we are here today to talk about this project that you have undergone. Um, you've undertaken this project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it? Like, because it's this AI. I know that because here's the thing. I've lost some followers since I've announced this show. I think because people don't like AI. People think AI is this terrible thing, but this program is actually going to be open source and can be run with open source models that don't require ChatGPT or these other big LLMs to operate. You can run it on your own computer, right?
Yeah. Well, so AI can mean a lot of things, right? Um, machine learning, deep learning, neural networks, but what everyone, generally what people refer to as AI is large language models or LLMs, which are what make the chatbots, ChatGPT and Claude. But there are also chatbots or LLMs that you can run locally on your computer, and they have the same capabilities as ChatGPT or Claude, but there's no data leaving your computer. There's no data going over the network, going to Sam Altman, going to Anthropic. It's just all on your computer, and it never goes anywhere. It's all yours.
Nice. The chat is like covering you up, and someone's asking if you're single. But I guess we're gonna have to find some other way to configure this chat. Otherwise, it's gonna like be all over your face. I don't know. Maybe we'll turn the chat off for now. But people can still see it if you're on YouTube. Okay, guys. So yeah, this basically what we've got here is a two-part show for you guys. So in the first part, I'm going to go through my astrological presentation. Now, the only reason why I was able to prepare this presentation to give you tonight is because of the software that Robyn made, right? So this software can do a lot of things, which we'll get into in the second part of the show. That's going to be the second part, is when we show you just what the software he's created can do. So just a little bit of background before we get started. What happened was, he created this program, and I was curious about this triple conjunction, right? That's coming up of Mercury, Mars, and Saturn in Aries. And so I asked Rob if we could have this program find all of the triple conjunctions of these planets that have taken place, in the past 250 years or so. And it did, and he got me a list, and I went through, and there was 24 of them in the last 250 years. And I went through and checked every single one of these conjunctions, and I found a pattern, right? And so that's what we're going to get into. And it was because this software that he has, will not only tell you when the conjunction took place and the sign and the degree, but it will also pull significant events that took place near that conjunction and tell you that. So when you get this report, you decide to run a query about some astrological pattern, and then it will start telling you events that occurred. And so you can start to see a pattern emerge based on the prompts you give to this program. So, that's kind of how the idea for this show came about, and that's what we're going to get into. So you guys are going to see that the program Rob has created, which is still in its early stages, is quite something. So I'm going to start with this. So here, basically, I've mentioned the triple conjunction. This is about the triple conjunctions, right? Of 3 planets, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. Right? So Mercury is the planet that rules communication and media. It's also the ruler of the sign of Virgo, which is frequently associated in mundane astrology with the people, the workers, the collective, right? Mars is the planet of war, conquest, aggression, right? Saturn is associated with things like enforcement of hierarchy, structure, authority, and time, right? So, these planets come together in a triple conjunction. And what do we get when we add all of these archetypes together? We get rebellions, uprisings, revolutions, wars of independence, and the brutal efforts to suppress them. Hey, William Birkin. Hey, Hyped Up on Coffee, Zero Gold, Pony Soprano. Good to see all you guys here. I'll turn the chat back on. It doesn't matter if you can't. Well, it's going to cover up some of the presentation. I'll turn it back off. So basically, this is what we've got, right? These cycles correspond exactly to all this, and you guys are going to be blown away by how precisely they do. So here we go. The pattern. All right. So now these triple conjunctions do not recur according to any set pattern, right? So the conjunction of Saturn, Mars, and Mercury may recur rapidly within a 10-year window and then not occur for decades, right? You'll have conjunctions that occur every 2 to 4 years for like 10 years and then nothing for 30 years. And then you'll have one and then nothing for 20 years and then another series of conjunctions. And over the window of data that I analyzed, I was not able to discern any pattern about the regularity with which these triple conjunctions happened. But when they did occur, there was a very clear pattern to their effects. So what we do is we look for points where Mercury, Mars, and Saturn conjoin within 5 degrees of each other, and we look at the conditions at the time this occurs. Second, we look for the immediately following Mars square to the triple conjunction, right? So this will make more sense with the example coming, but basically once the triple conjunction happens, we want to track Mars. Mars is the trigger planet. And so if the conjunction happens at 7 degrees of Aries, then when Mars gets to 7 degrees of Cancer, that's going to be the trigger point, right? Because that's the Mars square to the conjunction. Now, the other aspects that Mars makes to the conjunction degree and to Saturn matter in this cycle, but this first Mars square is usually the critical point. Now, going forward, we have our first example. So, the French Revolution. Okay, we have here a chart for March 19th, 1789. Okay, there is a triple conjunction of the planets Saturn, Mercury, and Mars, all here in Pisces. And it's occurring March 19th. Now, around this time, elections for the Estates General were being held, right? The elections were held at different times in different regions of France, and the whole process took a few months from January to April. This was the convening of the 3 estates, the clergy, the nobility, and the commoners. And it was the dissolution of this Estates General, which was basically like a governing body, that led to the French Revolution, right? And so if we see here that Mars is at 10 degrees of Pisces, right, then when we step forward and see Mars at 10 degrees of Gemini, we get the storming of the Bastille. So the Mars reaches 10 degrees of Gemini on July 17th. 3 days before that, we had the storming of the Bastille, which is widely considered, this is basically the start proper of the French Revolution. Yeah, the Bastille, if for those unfamiliar, was this prison that basically represented like the corruption of the nobility and the king and all of this. And they freed what the revolutionaries saw as political prisoners from the Bastille. So we see here that this takes place right exactly because the triple conjunction, if we go back and see, Mars is at 10 degrees Pisces. When Mars gets to 10 degrees Gemini, which makes a square to Pisces, there is action. Now, what's also important is when Mars actually squares Saturn. But we'll get to that later. Also important is the opposition, right? So in 1790, when Mars opposed Saturn, basically this was the constitutional monarchy that was established in France. There was the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, which was kind of like the French version of the Bill of Rights. But this revolution would continue, and this, constitutional monarchy wouldn't last because, King Louis would eventually be chased off, right? So we go forward and want to see a little bit more nuance with this astrological pattern. So what makes the pattern worse or better, right? So what makes the pattern more intense, the more intense violence tends to occur when the triple conjunctions are under 5 degrees, and there's multiple triple conjunctions occurring within a short window of time, like 10 years. And then there's violence already ongoing at the time of the triple conjunction. If these conditions are present, then the violence is going to escalate. Now, what mitigates the intensity of the violence, right? The triple conjunction being more than 5 degrees, there's not tensions, but no outright violence at the time of the conjunction. Another thing is that it's an isolated triple conjunction where there's no others happening around it, right? So when you get one by itself, we'll see later, the violence is not, it's not as good. So the second example we have for this is another triple conjunction. Here we see again Saturn, Mars, and Mercury here in Aries, right? This is a second in a series of conjunctions occurring in 1791, 1793, 1797, and 1801, right? So this period at the end of the 18th century had a cluster of these triple conjunctions, right? I hope that everyone is still following along. I'm not losing people by, I wasn't seeing the new comments. Okay, cool. Yes, so we're going to get into that about the degeneration of things, right? So as these conjunctions go on, the violence gets worse, right? And things escalate more and more, right? So this is the French Revolution is still going on. Basically, they'd signed this constitutional monarchy, but it was a hesitant agreement. So we've got this here in April happening. What happens next? Well, at the next Mars square, so we saw the last conjunction was around 9 or 10 degrees of Aries. Now, this is August. Now, this is before it happens. So we get a big massacre in the French Revolution. This is a little bit before the actual Mars square. But when we get to the actual Mars square, we get a very important development in the French Revolution, which is the Declaration of Pillnitz. So this basically was a joint resolution from the Roman Empire and Prussia in support of King Louis against the French Revolution. Now, this radicalized the revolutionary Frenchmen that had previously been participating in the constitutional monarchy and led to the Revolutionary Wars of 1792. So the Mars-Saturn square here in 1791 basically reignited everything and caused the French Revolution to further degenerate. And then it was these Revolutionary Wars that led to the Terror and the rise of Napoleon and all of this, right? So we see here that these repeated conjunctions exacerbate the condition. Now, all right, we've got some questions here. So it says, is there any relationship to the signs that the conjunctions are occurring in when they occur in close to a series of the 3x conjunctions? So we might get to that at the end. The thing is that the weird thing is that the Robyn did a statistical thing of like all of the conjunctions for like thousands of years. I don't know. It was like 6,000 years of data he ran, and he found that the vast majority of these occur in the signs of Aries and Pisces, right? And hardly any occur in any of the other signs. So that's a very interesting thing to me, right? Because Aries is the sign of the individual and Pisces is the sign of the collective. And it's something like 80% of these conjunctions occur within one of those two signs. So it's pretty interesting. So someone says, hey, everyone, hope I didn't miss too much. Just to catch everyone up, what we're looking at is we're looking at the cycle of the conjunction of 3 planets when Mercury, Mars, and Saturn all conjoin. So and then we can see the development of revolutions and uprisings, right? So just to go back on this, we get a triple conjunction here. Well, this is after the constitutional monarchy has been signed, right? So we get this triple conjunction around 11 degrees of Aries, right? All these planets are conjoined here. Then we go forward and the violence doesn't stop. It gets worse as Mars gets closer to squaring Saturn. And then by the time we get the Mars-Saturn square exact, we have this declaration from these foreign governments that radicalize the Frenchmen and lead to the Revolutionary Wars and the Terror, right? So we see how the progression of this synodic cycle of these 3 planets works. Now, someone else says, can you use statistics with the program to test these hypotheses? Yes, we're going to get to that. This is something I've just discovered. I haven't had time to do statistical analysis on it yet. So going forward, we're not going to stay live for 6 hours. We're not going to stay live for 6 hours. It's not going to do it. So, all right, moving on. There was a few other things that happened during this Mars-Saturn square that were very interesting. So one of the things that happened was the Haitian Revolution. This happened, so the exact Mars-Saturn square is August 23. The Haitian Revolution started 2 days before that, on 21 August 1791. The revolution was the largest slave uprising since Spartacus's unsuccessful revolt against the Roman Empire nearly 1,900 years earlier. And this revolution was successful and actually led to the founding of a state free from slavery. I mean, I don't know, this example to me is incredible, right? Like we go back and we see the Mars-Saturn conjunction here in Aries, Mars-Saturn Mercury conjunction here in Aries. And then when that square that happens, we get the Haitian Revolution. I mean, Rob, what do you think about that? I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. So I guess, and since you pointed out most of them are happening in Aries, so that means that when Mars hits that square, it's going to be fallen in Cancer.
Yeah. That's an interesting thing to point out. Yeah, it's Mars is this exacerbating point is when Mars is not in a good position. So let's go forward. All right, so next example. All right, so we've been looking at the French Revolution, which was a successful revolution because there was a series of these triple conjunctions that occurred within a compressed period of time. And this gave the revolutionaries enough fuel. All right, now let's look at another one. So this is an uprising in China against the communists. right? Now, the previous triple conjunction of Mars, Saturn, and Mercury occurred in 1899, right? And the next triple conjunction of Mars, Saturn, and Mercury after this occurs in 1962. So this is an isolated triple conjunction. There's no others around it to help. Now, there was an uprising that began on December 11th, about a week before this triple conjunction, right? And what do we see happen with it? Well, the uprising was brutally suppressed. And by April, the ruling power had near complete victory, right? So we see here that when there's not more follow-up triple conjunctions, the rebellions fail. Now, interestingly enough, around the time of this Mars-Saturn square, there was an assassination attempt on Mussolini, and the gangs bombed the Republican primary in Chicago. It's called the Pineapple Primary. They had bombs, hand grenades shaped like pineapples that they threw into the Republican primary. Crazy history. Go and look it up. It's fascinating. Now, so we see here, this example, the rebels were not successful. Now, here's another example of an unsuccessful rebellion. This one occurred during the 1966 conjunctions because it was also isolated. The previous conjunction was back in 1927, and the next one's not going to occur for a while. And so, the triple conjunction occurred here in Pisces, and then by the time we get to the Mars-Saturn square, it's July. All right, so we have February to July as the time frame. And the uprising lasted from March 26th to June 8th. So within that time frame, the uprising comes and gets demolished. So this person asks, when you say subsequent conjunctions, do you mean just a Mercury and Mars, or do you mean a triple conjunction again? I mean triple conjunction again. So when I'm talking about the subsequent conjunctions, I'm talking about how they will recur every few years. Here, when we get to the next slide, it will be more clear. So this makes it more clear. The example for Indonesia in the 1990s. There was a series of triple conjunctions of Mercury, Mars, and Saturn on these dates: March 24th, 1994, March 23rd, 1996, and March 31st, 1998, right? Mercury, Mars, and Saturn all conjoined on these dates, right? Now, when we look at the waxing Mars square, so once Mars squares the position of that initial conjunction that took place on these dates, we have these date ranges. So in July 1994, we get the first protests against the Indonesian government, right? Then July 24th to August 5th, this is when the widespread riots happened that made international news. And then by the time the last square is happening, the regime has fallen, and we are in the Reformation era, where they're trying to establish, a democratic system, and they're taking action against war criminals and things like this. Now, someone asks, how would one zero in on specific locations affected? Astrocartography, eclipse lines. Very good question. I have not solved that yet, but it's something I want to look at.
Well, the application has that capability. We can explain it later.
Yeah. I'm going to keep going. So another example that we've got is the fall of the Spanish Empire. This is another series of triple conjunctions. So the Spanish Empire had, a series, it still had some colonies, Cuba and the Philippines mainly. These series of triple conjunctions of Mars, Saturn, and Mercury occurred here with 2-year gaps in between them in 1895, 1897, and 1899. Now, the events aligned with this cycle include the Cuban War of Independence, right? The interesting thing about this is that the Mars squares and oppositions in this cycle correspond precisely with the intensification of General Weyler's reconcentration policy, which was arguably the world's first concentration camps. And the killing of the genocide peaked during the Mars retrograde, right? So it's an interesting thing to point out with Cuba. Now, by the time we get to the triple conjunction in 1897, after that, the United States intervenes on behalf of Cuba against the Spanish, and we get the Spanish-American War. You know, roughly contemporaneously to this, we have the Philippine Revolution against the Spaniards, and then the Philippine-American War, right? And so, you know, these events are all associated with successful uprisings and wars of independence against the Spanish. So we see this pattern playing out over large periods of time. Now, that brings us to what's happening now. We have these triple conjunctions in our time. We have ones occurring April 20th, 2026. That's coming up. The next one after that is June 2nd, 2032. After that, it's July 22nd, 2036. So these are gaps of 4 to 6 years. Now, so far, we've only examined two types, right? We've examined when the triple conjunctions come in clusters, where they're 2 to 4 years apart, like they did in the 1990s, and like they did at the end of the 1800s, and like they did at the end of the 1700s, right? Now, and then we've looked at the isolated triple conjunctions, right? But this is a third type. This involves gaps of 4 to 6 years. So in the time period that I examined, there was one period of time that roughly seemed to correspond to the same amount of gaps in between the triple conjunctions. And that was the 1820s and the 1830s, right? So here we have the dates. These dates over here are the dates where we had triple conjunctions of Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. So we get a triple conjunction here on May 4th, 1821. By this point, the Greek War of Independence had already broken out, right? This War of Independence ended up being successful, but not until 1829. So it was hard fought, right? Then we had Belgian Revolution, right? This began at the Saturn-Mars opposition, and it was successful. We had the July Revolution, which is also referred to as the Second French Revolution, right? This, it also occurred as the Glorious 3 Days, right? This was a very fast revolution. This occurred in July 1830 at the Mars-Saturn opposition. It was successful. We had Nat Turner's Slave Rebellion, right, which occurred in August 1931, just as the triple conjunction was happening, and it was suppressed, right? Then someone says, wasn't the Civil War during this time, though? No, the Civil War was in the 1860s. However, there were triple conjunctions of Mars, Mercury, and Saturn happening during the Civil War. I just didn't cover them on this presentation. The Civil War period is very strange. It doesn't follow any of the other patterns. It's a fourth thing that I haven't even gotten into. That period, it works, but the gaps between them is weird, right? So basically, we also get the Second Seminole War, which is like the longest war that the United States fought against the native population here. So overall, this period gives mixed results between the rebels versus the hegemony, but it's set up for the age of nationalism in the second half of the 19th century and the early part of the 20th century. Everyone is reacting, fuck, LMAO, I know. But actually, I'm not going to be totally doomer here, although it does get worse. So just wait. All right, so this is what we've got coming up for the next triple conjunction, right? April 20th, 2026. Now, I've got here on the left that effective April 20th, 2026, the U.S. Army is increasing the maximum enlistment age from 34 to 42 and eliminating waiver requirements for a single possession of marijuana. So basically, this is going to make it easier to join the military, right? So this has already been announced, right? And this is on the day of the next triple conjunction. Now, what happens next? Well, August 24th, we get the Mars square. So we see that the triple conjunction is here at 8 Aries. Now, when Mars reaches 8 Cancer, this is a Muslim holiday, all right, where they celebrate the birth of Muhammad. Now, in recent years, the Palestinians have celebrated this and the Israelis have attacked them, right? There's also a lunar eclipse following this 5 days later.
It's in an eclipse window on August 12th is the first solar eclipse.
So yes, there was this is within the 2 eclipses. Yeah, that's important to point out, Rob, is that there was a solar eclipse before this, and there's going to be a lunar eclipse in a few days. And so the fact that this Mars square happens to fall on this is not good.
Sorry, I laugh when I'm scared.
Yeah. People are commenting in the chat. I'm going to keep pressing on for now. So this is not good, obviously. The fact that this is all aligning like this makes the end of August seem pretty bad to me. Now, what is this doing in the USA Sibley chart, right? Well, here we see it is activating the Saturn square Sun in the USA Sibley chart, right? So we've got the natal Saturn here in Libra being opposed by the transit Saturn. All right, this is T, and then this Mars is activating this T square here. So this is the USA chart, not Iran. Hyped up on coffee. Yeah, this is the USA chart. I'm also talking about what's happening. So I suggested there could be something going on in Israel. Now I'm suggesting there could be something going on in America. Now these 2 threads are going to combine here soon. You'll see where I'm going, right? Other things that were astrologically significant is that in Lahiri Mahadashas, the United States Sibley chart is in a Rahu Venus Mahadasha, which is the same Mahadasha as it was when the Constitution took effect. Venus is in the 8th whole sign house. Rahu and Mars afflict Venus because it's a malefic hemming. So Rahu is here in Leo, Venus is here in Cancer, Mars is here in Gemini. So it's a malefic enclosure of Venus here. So all of this Cancer stuff is afflicted by Mars and Rahu. So I'm saying, is the United States getting a divorce, new government, new constitution? Because, what if there's something like, the Israeli atrocities escalate so much that there's some kind of revolt here at home? Now, people that are old enough might remember in the 1960s with President Nixon and the Vietnam War, there were these protests out in front of the White House. And people were concerned that the protesters might storm the White House lawn and that they might have to shoot all these protesters trying to storm the White House. What if there's something similar happens? What if something like that actually does happen, right? What if there is some kind of protest where Trump, massacres people, right? Could this be the start of the Civil War? Because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that, this may escalate things in the Middle East, but then what is that going to do back here at home? So to follow up on this speculation, I've got some further speculation, right? So If the aftermath of the 1820s and the 1830s set up the rise of nationalism, perhaps the aftermath of this period will be the rise of transnational governments, New World Order, right? Here are the international conferences and meetings that are taking place during this triple conjunction. We have the 2026 ECOSOC Forum for Financing on Development, right? So this is where they talk about how the World Bank and other global financial institutions are going to work with developing countries in order to finance them and develop them, right? There's the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, right? The World Bank and other things have been making these deals with indigenous groups where the indigenous groups basically retain rights to live on the land but sell the carbon out of the land so that some transnational corporation can mine it, strip mine it. We have the American Society of International Law annual meeting happening, the U.S. Commission on Population and Development, the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons Review Conference is happening, and the first international conference for the phase out of fossil fuels, right? So this is not great that this is scheduled to happen on
I
this.
don't think that that non-proliferation nuclear weapons conference, my opinion is that by the time that happens, April 27th,
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. So the thing is that it's supposed to meet every 5 years. This non-proliferation weapons meeting is supposed to meet every 5 years, supposedly, right? So that's what I've read. Now, here's the conclusion that I have. Our current situation is basically middle difficulty, right? So we've seen that the isolated triple conjunctions of Mercury, Saturn, and Mars are bad for the rebelling subjects and good for the rulers. The triple conjunctions that occur rapidly, like every 2 to 4 years, are good for the rebelling subjects and bad for the rulers. When the triple conjunctions are spaced out in 4 to 6 year gaps, they give mixed results, and this is our current situation. Now, the one that's going to happen is very tight, and violence is already ongoing in many parts of the world. So we can expect these wars to escalate over the summer in between the triple conjunction and the Mars square. So basically what I'm saying here is that in between April 20th and the end of August, the conflict globally is going to get a lot worse, and it's going to reach a crescendo at the end of August. And then the Mars retrograde that winter is going to pick it back up again, right? That's my prediction. So it's going to be very important to watch if there are major protests or riots that occur around the triple conjunction, or if they occur closer to the Mars square, right? The successful rebellions and revolutions tend to take place during the Mars square or opposition following the triple conjunction, right? The ones that are suppressed tend to take place closer to the time of the triple conjunction. The one exception to this that I found was the Greek War of Independence, but this was a special case because it had another triple conjunction following it 6 years later. There was a triple conjunction of Mars, Mercury, and Saturn in 1821, and then another one in 1827. And then this war did not resolve until Mars went through its full 2-year synodic cycle and made its full set of aspects to that conjunction in 1829. So basically, it's going to be worse if there's action in April, better if there's action in August. William Birkin says, all this Mars revolution talks makes me think of the symbolism of the land and Revelations. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that you like. So you mentioned that the Mars square happens during a very holy date for Islam.
Yes.
The triple conjunction happens during Passover, right?
Oh, right. Oh, shit. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, because the triple conjunction is here. Yes, it
Passover, I think,
is.
happens on the 15th.
Right.
Of
So it's
April.
near, it's during Passover. Okay. So going forward just a little bit more, I do have a few things to look at, a few charts. Now, this is going forward to the Mars opposition. So I talked about the Mars square, right, here at this year. Now I want to talk a little bit about next year, because there's going to be a Mars retrograde in Virgo and Leo. And then finally, next summer in July, we're going to get Mars getting to 8 degrees Libra, which is opposite the 8 degrees of Aries where the triple conjunction occurred. All right, so this is here. This is the end of July 2027. Now, we see here in this chart, it's Mars conjunct Saturn, right? But it doesn't, Uranus return, right? We look here at the full moon. The full moon is roughly conjunct the moon of the United States Sibley chart, right? And I was looking at this and I was like, this doesn't seem like it's telling me what I like. It seems like there's something else I should look at. And so I looked instead at the date of the Constitution. All right, so this is when the Constitution was signed, right? The inner chart here. And then this is the outer chart, the transits. So we see that full moon is happening on the Saturn of the Constitution. This Mars square is happening on the Neptune of the Constitution, right? If we go forward to the new moon that takes place after this eclipse, we see here that there is a new moon with Venus and Jupiter conjunct all of this stuff in Virgo. And this is right during the Mars-Saturn opposition, right? And so Mercury is conjunct the sun of the Constitution. I feel like if there's going to be a constitutional convention, if there's going to be some kind of coup d'etat or some kind of changeover in the government, right, where the United States, there's like, if everyone's saying how Trump is going to try to maintain power, things like that, this is the time period to watch for that. This is the time period to watch for them trying to call a constitutional convention and rip up the Constitution and start from scratch, because that's what happens when you call a constitutional convention. You know, if 2/3 of the states call it, then it's going to happen. Or it could be that they simply suspend the Constitution and say, all right, now there's a different government. Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, it's not good. So that's what I've got for this presentation. It's kind of a downer. It's kind of a doomer take, but this is the critical point I see coming up. Robyn, what do you think about this?
I think your analysis is brilliant. That was so great. Thank you so much for illuminating that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
So there's, throughout this period, we're doing the Uranus Pluto trines. They in Aquarius, Gemini.
Yes.
And the last one happens in 2032. I feel like that's all connected as well. That the Gemini Aquarius. So I've been doing some research on AI, and I think it's all tied in. AI is always happening in those early Gemini, the early Virgo degrees, the first 10 degrees of Virgo. And then Aquarius, anything that's entering or leaving or on like an anaretic degree or just making an egress or an ingress or something that's, if Mercury is in if there's some sort of stellium happening in Gemini with Mercury.
Yeah.
So, and then Trump has a sun in the last 10 degrees of Gemini. Sorry, 20. Yeah, in the late Gemini. And what I found is that these are somehow these outer planets in these Aries signs are going to be playing, I think, a role as well.
Yeah, no, the outer planet shifts I think are important as well. I mean, a lot of this is happening during the exact Uranus.
Oh, wait. Trump's Mars is at the degree of the Mars square to this upcoming conjunction, right? 8 degrees
What?
Cancer.
Oh shit.
Out of bounds
Really?
Mars.
Oh
I think
shit.
so.
I'm gotta pull up Trump's chart and look at that then. Damn, that's crazy. All right. So someone else says, Zero Gold says, is there a
Sorry,
chance
Mercury. It's not his Mars. It's his Mercury. My bad.
it's his
It's
Mercury.
Mercury. Out of
Is
bounds
there a
Mercury.
chance the new constitution is from Democrats or anti-Trump people? Like to stop Trump? I mean, that's a possibility that it's some kind of bait and switch, like, oh, you need to sign on to this in order to stop Trump. This is like going to be some like states' rights constitutional convention to stop Trump. That's one possibility. Honestly, I don't think our culture has the cohesion to pull something off like that. So I'm honestly leaning towards it just being like some kind of takeover or something like that. Now let me pull up Trump's chart.
Yeah, so the whole triple conjunction on April 20th is in partile square to Trump's out of bound Cancer Mercury.
Right.
And did you know Trump and Bibi Netanyahu have the same Mars in Leo, like the same degree?
Yes, I did know that. Yeah, that's very.
And then Xi Jinping's Mars is at 0 degrees Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that we're going to be seeing him as a player, or China playing a big role in whatever happens in like Iran. I guess as I don't know if your viewers know, but I'm not American. You can probably tell by my voice.
Yeah, he's Canadian.
But so I don't really know too much about, like, I can't comment too much on the stuff like that you're speaking about, but I've been looking at the bigger geopolitical thing, and there's some interesting transits to Xi Jinping's chart on that April 20th.
All right, so here we have. Yeah. Oh, sorry to interrupt you, Rob, but
no, please go ahead.
I got the Trump thing finally. So here's what has happened. So this looks like bad news for Trump. He's got Mercury conjunct his Mars, and Mars conjunct his Mercury. That doesn't seem good. Venus conjunct his Jupiter. Saturn opposite is Jupiter. Neptune opposite is Neptune. Yeah, Saturn square his Cancer stuff. Yeah, this is. Let's look at the full moon, the eclipse.
So Trump's progressed moon is also square his natal Mars on April 20th. According to my app. So I haven't verified that, but I trust my app.
So someone says, is there a chance he just dies before the whole Constitution thing? I don't think so. I think he's going to have bad health problems over the next few months, but I don't think he's going to die. So
Jupiter's also squaring his Jupiter on April 20th.
Yeah. Oh, on April 20th. Here, let's look at April 20th for the triple conjunction.
See, I'm like way more doomer about April 20th. Like, I think that by April 20th, we're going to have a complete shift in global power.
So you think there's going to be like some kind of like nuclear attack or something here, right? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what
I think that as the planets move into conjunction over that week, it's going to escalate. My theory, like I didn't do as much research as you. I'm just going more on vibes and using my app, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see nuclear activity leading up maybe on the 19th. and the 20th will be the day where China, like, and I don't like, please, Americans, I'm not trying to say anything bad about your country. I'm just looking at the bigger picture. I do like, because currently America is the global hegemony, and the biggest opponent to that hegemony is China, I would say, like economically. And I think that on April 20th, we are going to see China sort of come closer to that. I mean, I really don't want to offend any Americans, so I'm not gonna
Don't worry about offending them. You know, fuck Americans. You guys, we you know, we can handle it, right? You know, don't worry about offending anyone on the show. I mean, it's this show. They asked, it's saying, okay, you could say it. They love Canada. Yeah. So, yeah, and I'm, you know, an anti-American weirdo. No, actually, I'm not. I'm actually, you know, actually proud to be an American. I'm one of those white people that doesn't go around saying like, oh, you know, I'm Irish American or I'm German American or something. It's like, I'm American. My family's been here for like 200 years. That's it. I'm American, right? There's no getting around it, right? So I'm not Irish really, even though, you know, Harper is an Irish name. Now, I wanted to get into Rob's program. So before we can look at this more later, but I want to talk about this because it's a really interesting program. There's a lot of things that it can do. So I got the program to give me this list of these triple conjunctions, right? And what happened during them, right? But there's also other things. So we have like a couple of demos we've got here. You want to do the demos first or you want to do your presentation? Actually, let's do yours, right? Yeah, let's do your.
Sure. So yeah, we can power
it,
through this. I will share. Yeah. So my screen is ready to share. I made a little. So thank you very much, Alex. Thank you for your presentation. I really think you've hit on something that maybe perhaps no astrologer has ever seen before, only because most applications that do astrology do not do triple conjunctions, or it's not easy to find them. And so to start off, I love astrology software. I've been an astrology software fan since since the moment I started liking. I'm a huge nerd, and when I started learning about astrology software was like part of the reason why I started loving astrology. So this was written by, this whole application I made with Claude Code. I'm not a software engineer by trade. I work in IT, but I'm not a software engineer. So I'm living in this weird liminal space where I'm not a software engineer. You know, like software engineers don't like non-software engineer vibe coders. Who cares? Most of the people in the spiritual esoteric community are very against AI. So this application I made just kind of puts me in like this like liminal space where like I'm kind of alone here. So I'm really happy you're joining me, Alex. And I really hope that we can find some people in your audience who maybe want to join along, because this isn't a free app. So it's built on top of so I made the app with Claude Code and I had Claude Code make this presentation. So this is all Claude wrote this copy. I love all astrology apps. So when he's kind of like saying astrology apps are just a calculator, but let's go to the next one, because like I love astrology apps and I would never have been able to make this astrology app if it wasn't for Claude Code. So the astrology app is built on Swiss Ephemeris. So this Swiss Ephemeris is an open source software released by Astro, the same company that has the astro.com website. And if you're a super nerd like me, you probably watched the episode of Astrology Podcast with Alois Trendle. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's the developer, founder of the Swiss Ephemeris. And he's such a nerd, and I love him because he was so sick of people of having different calculations. He was like, I'm going to make this one app and I'm going to make it free so everybody has the same freaking calculations. So I just love that nerdy quality that he has. And so that app is the basis of, so my app doesn't actually do astrology. It uses the Swiss Ephemeris to do astrology. And because of that, it adopts the same software license as Swiss Ephemeris, so it's completely free.
Yes, but so it makes it open source, which is something that I wanted. Sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to emphasize about this is that what you're doing, this is going out for free. right? Anyone can use this. And someone's asking, can he drop the link to the app? We will talk about that because we're going to do, he wants to do like a closed beta test. And so people, you know, will have a way to contact so you can get access to the closed beta while Rob continues developing this. And this is part of why we're doing the stream, so we can get people interested in it and, you know, get people to install it, test it, work out the bugs and stuff like this, because it's still ongoing. Sorry to interrupt you, Rob. Continue.
No, it's fine. Thanks. Because like I made this app in my head. It's not like other astrology apps. Like it doesn't actually have any visuals. It's only back end. I'm a very logical person. Like I love art and I love visual things, but it's just not my forte. So this entire app is just logical. It doesn't have any front end, but because it's open source, if someone wanted to build one, they could. But what makes this, what I really like about this app is all built around the way of saving data. It's built around the database, and when we say timescale DB here, like doesn't mean anything to anybody, but to nerds, it's a special type of database that saves data in time series. And so when I first envisioned this application back in 2020, it was all based around how do I look at astrology over a period of time? Because like as much as we love our natal charts, astrology is always moving, right? So I wanted a way to be able to see it always moving, and the only way I could think of doing that was with a time series database. And so like one of the ways that actually Alex and you and I became buds is because you posted a screen grab of Astro, and that's an Android app that lets you like scroll through time really fast. It's free. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will always promote every other astrology app. I was a
shout out
Kickstarter
to
for
Astrovisor. Astrovisor is legit. Download it.
for
Pay for the
Android
full
phones.
version. It's worth the full version is worth
It's only
it.
$7 a year or something, not even.
Yeah. It's one of the best apps.
Yeah, for Android. So I don't know about. I'm not an Apple
It's
person.
on Apple as well. It's on the iPhone as well. You can get Astrovisor on iPhone and Android. It's the best astrology app for your phone, in my opinion. It's called Astrovisor. I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah. And so when I saw Alex post that screen grab, I was like, hey, I love that app too. And then that's how we started chatting back in like 2023, summer of 2023.
Yes.
So
yes.
Wow,
has it been that long? Yeah, it has.
So I do love astrology software. I'm a huge fan, and that's why I built the software. And so I am also like I kickstarted the Star Scribe app back in like 2024, and I also am one of the original. I don't know what the word is, but I'm like one of the founder members of Nichepso. I love Nichepso. But the thing is like when you're a nerd and you're using astrology software, you're like, I want it to do more things. I want it to do this. And so you call the developer and you're like, can you do this? And they're like, don't call me. Like that's not true. Nichepso is super open and they have a Discord and they let us chat. But it's like they got one developer and he takes his time. And I'm so impatient because I have, I'm like neurodivergent and I can't wait. So basically,
you decided to do it yourself.
and it was because of Claude Code. And let me say, I was super anti AI until I tried Claude Code. I didn't like ChatGPT because it was writing, and I used to be I'm a writer by trade, but because that you can't really make money in that, I got into IT. And I think that everybody should get Linux skills. You need Linux skills to use this app. Linux is an open source operating system. So this whole application is built on open source software, and that's why it's going to be open source. It's going to be for everybody. So it's got three. So let me get back to the nitty gritty details. So when I started building the application for people with Claude Code, Claude Code started teaching me like all these crazy things. So I was like, let's have 3 databases. This is crazy. Nobody's ever thought of 3 databases before. Why? Because it's crazy. But guess what? I'm crazy, so I can do these things. So basically what it gives is multi-dimensional awareness. So you've got your timescale DB, which saves. So like in a traditional app, you pull a chart and you can save it to your database and pull it up later, or you can just, like not save it and it just disappears. Every time you pull up any astrology data in this application, it gets saved to the time series database because the time series, because astrology is a time series.
Yeah, and the app remembers, right? Because like
yeah,
this is one thing that I noticed just from an outside view. When Robyn first got this app up and running, I watched it in real time as he was adding more prompts that it would remember things, right? And it would harken back to these previous mistakes it had made and was able to learn from them. And Robyn's like, you didn't give me the right thing. Remember, go back and look at this and see the mistake you made. Don't make the same mistake again. And so it's like the program can learn, which is I don't know. That was the thing that blew me away about what you made.
and it's because of these 3 databases.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to get too nerdy, but basically one database does time. One database does rules, like context of if this, then that type situation. That is what all of astrology is based on. And then the third database, it finds connections between different things that you wouldn't necessarily look for. It's using advanced database math, like beyond my comprehension, but Claude Code did it. It finds all the connections, and this is all happening in the background. So whatever astrology you do, it gets saved to the databases, and then in the background, there's functions happening that are identifying connections, and that's what the Neo J4 relationship brain is. Okay, I'm gonna try and go more fast because like I'm super nerdy.
So User Well said, imagine being able to use it as a diary too, and it remembers when you wrote stuff to map it onto the transit. Yes,
100%
this is what it does. And when you install it on your program, on your computer, there'll be a way to isolate the memory so that you can program everything into it to tap into you and have it be like a personal repository of events in your life without that being shared to the other users. That's something Rob's working on right now.
There's no other users at this point. Like, this is a solo app that's only for you. I didn't build it to have any sort of security that multiple people can access it. So you don't really want to share this with anybody if you're putting personal data in there. So so this is just a little more info about the timescale database. It's kind of nerdy, but basically every single thing that you chat with the bot in, it gets saved. Anything that has an ephemeris position, a life event, a prediction, market data, space weather, ephemeris coverage, like all this stuff is saved to the time series, because that's what astrology is a series, is a time series. And it lazy fills. So when you're not using the app, it will fill in gaps in the time series. So it says some unique queries that you can ask is: Jupiter conjunct natal sun, positive events 2 to 3 days later. When was the sky last like this today? Saturn Uranus angular distance versus S&P volatility. There is so many possibilities. So the time series, I can't reiterate how the timescale DB is the backbone of the entire app, because astrology is a time. I keep trying to click the wrong screen. Okay, so ChromaDB, this is where we have the rules, and it also adds in new rules that it finds. So like non-traditional astrology rules based on things like you've discovered, Alex. So if you had done all of this research in THIA, which I named it THIA, it will all it will start finding, it will put those rules in here into the ChromaDB.
Yes. So what he's saying is that, like, so for example, I've done some, I have some like custom rules that I use for astrology that are not based on anything in any texts, but are based on my observations of reading charts for, the last several years. That you can program in. So you can program in your own custom rules, and then the program, as it finds its own patterns, will code in custom rules as well. And then you can also put in your own texts. Like, you can upload any astrology text that you want, and it will derive rules from that, right? And we actually have a demonstration of that feature coming up later in the episode. Someone says, I'm not kidding you, Robyn, this is so cool. This is the kind of correct application of AI with astrology. And I just want to go ahead and second that comment.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I really love the open source ethos and making this accessible to everyone. You know, I respect the hell out of it. It's very cool. So yeah, it's perfect to use for research. So
Yeah,
sorry
and
to
that's what
keep
that was the whole
derailing
point. It's an
you.
astrological research platform, and like I said, I built this for people. But then, as I was building it with Claude Code, I realized that the same agentic workflow that's used to vibe code, which is called a tasking, like when an LLM performs an action, it's called a task, and using an astrology app is just a workflow of tasks. And the thing about these agents is how they describe them. So I'm going way too off track, but I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah.
So the next one is the Neo J4. I mentioned this. So this is going to show, this is where the relationships happen. So it maps a web of connections between the different charts that you've looked for. So all of the charts that are in your timescale DB, which are also in the Chroma DB, the vector, the Neo4, I'm not going to say it anymore. The graph brain maps the connections. Just does that. Like it's just a math thing that happens. It's called a graph convolutional network, and it uses Kipf Wellring 2017 paper. So these are all things that are beyond my comprehension, but thanks to vibe coding, I got them in the app. And the cool thing about so one of the cool, like, LLMs can teach you a lot of stuff, and sometimes the things are like way above your head, but there's like whatever. I will keep going. So that's the databases, which are the three databases is a novel approach to an application, any application, but to an astrology application, it's perfect for this application. You know, if the but so this next thing I had the vibe code came up with was a way of finding configurations in the stars, you know, like conjunctions, oppositions, T-squares, grand trines, using vector math, which is another thing that's way beyond my comprehension. But the vibe code was like, this is smarter and better for searching aspects. And this is what I had to implement to do the triple conjunction searches.
This is so cool, by the way.
I'm such a nerd.
Cool. So cool.
And so another thing that we do, and this is fun because this is actually one of the original reasons why I wanted to get into astrology software, was because I wanted to turn the astrological, like the cycles of the planets, into audio, and I wanted to hear it. So this application provides that capability. It still has to be built. Like the data is there, but there's no like front end for the audio. So that's something that's going to be in the future that someone else can vibe code. The cool thing is that if you have this app and you know how to vibe code, which you don't even have to know how to vibe code, you just have to pretend and then it happens. Like, then you can make this app whatever you want it to be.
So someone says, can you input the charts of your personal sphere and then they'd be saved within a database?
Like your personal sphere of,
like I think what this person means is like, if they save like the charts of them and like their family and close friends to the app and then put in all the events that happen to them, then can the app track and make predictions for all of these people in their lives?
100%. That's why I made it. That's exactly why I made it. 100.
Yeah, and people are saying this is so cool. It is. It's really fucking cool. And you know, I don't know if anyone has ever discovered this triple conjunction thing with Mars, Mercury, and Saturn, but I've never seen it, and I've looked at a lot of mundane astrology, and so you know, this program is really cool. I would not have been able to see that without this program, and that's really the value that this is bringing. Is going to enable so many people to discover so much more about astrology. It's like Robyn's opening up a window here for all of us.
Yeah, and like, so you could, like, as Pony Soprano asked, could I do this just for my personal sphere? Yes. Anybody could actually take this app and make it a public app if they wanted. They could add some more security so that users can have their own private data, which it doesn't have right now. But if you built it in a way that, say, 100 people used it, and their data was all going in, it was getting anonymized, and you know, because there's so many data laws, right? So that's why I don't even want to go down that. I don't want to go down the route of trying to host it and charge people for it. I don't want to have to deal with data laws, and also cybersecurity, right? So like if you're running this on your own computer, like, and like if there's less chances of cybersecurity issues. Like there's a lot of cybersecurity issues about agents going out onto the internet.
Yeah. Because basically what we want to avoid is like if you're logging all of like your intimate details of your personal life and events that have happened to you, you don't really want that to be that information to be compromised, right? So in the event of some hack or something,
protected
so
by
that's why you
laws
want to
in
keep
pretty
it
much
on
every
your
country.
local system.
And so
someone says, is there a GitHub link? So yes, we're going to do a closed beta thing. There's going to be a application form. All right, you submit your information and he'll give you access. Yeah, we're going to post that at the end of the show. Just follow up. But if you look at our Twitter accounts, you'll see it. Did you have the? Actually, did you? Did you?
I forgot to make that. I can probably make it in a second, but let me finish this presentation.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So, but if it were the case that 100 people were using the app, the app would get so smart and it would be making so many connections. It would find patterns that no one's ever seen before. The more data this application has, the smarter it is. But then it's also, it's not built in a secure way to isolate different users' data. So this is, as it currently exists, you don't want this anywhere but your own computer. And you don't want to share it with anyone that you don't trust, because it's all going to be shared data.
Yeah, that's why we're doing the closed beta, right? Is because, in its current form, you basically, it's basically not wise to do, but he'll put these blocks in place when we do the full release, right?
Well, yeah, we'll see how it goes, right?
But during the beta, basically anything you put in the app, you'll have to know that
that's not the case. Because during the beta, people will be installing it on their own computers. So I don't have a public one. I'm not going to make one. I tried it out. It's a really complicated thing to configure. Like you saw me, I tried to share out my personal one with a special key. It's hard to do. And so the purpose of the beta is for people to install it on their own computers. But let me get to that in a second. So this page just goes over why the planetary scanning, how it works. It's using multi-cores, it's using vector math. And so it's actually not a unique idea. When I tried to say it was a unique idea on Twitter, and then I asked Grok if it was unique, and Grok was like, no, there's this app called Stellium that uses the same math. And so I looked up Stellium, and it's another vibe. It looks like a vibe coded app that was just made, and it uses the same math. And because I can see why they called it Stellium, because this type of math makes it easy to find stelliums. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. So it's also got every astrological technique, which isn't like super special. Like that's something all astrology apps have, but it has them.
Right now, it only has the Western techniques, but I'm going to be working with Rob to update it to where it also has all of the Vedic stuff too. So that's going to be coming. I'm going to be sharing. Yeah, we're going to do that. So it will be able to do Western and Eastern soon.
Yeah, I want to be like, it can do anything. And I don't know if anybody's ever vibe coded before, but that's basically my impression of vibe coding. It's like a genie. And whatever you wish comes true. Okay, so this is another cool thing about it. This is where it tracks your predictions. I think someone was asking about that. Like, because it tracks, well, so basically anytime, because like I made this app to make predictions, right? Because that's what patterns are. That's what models are. Models are ways of predicting what's going to happen next. And so this app scores whether a prediction was right or wrong. And then it updates its weighting. Because it doesn't just have astrology in it. It also has like machine learning regression techniques, like for finding averages and statistics and stuff. So it also puts in epistic boundaries, and it rates the type of prediction that it is. So it's like, is this a prediction based on traditions, or is this speculative, or you know, this. So everything is rated. Everything that THIA does gets one of these scores. So I've also integrated with financial data. Ideally, any type of data can go into this app and be correlated with astrology data. Financial data is great. You got to pay money if you want some good astrology data. I mean, sorry, if you want some good financial data, it's not free. But I put some free sources in there. Like Alpha Vantage is free. You just have to ask them. But like if you're a finance person, you know, you may already have the data, and like we would just have to build a connector that connects it into THIA, which you can vibe code in like 20 minutes. It's also got some open source research tools. So Kiwix is a Wikipedia that exists only on THIA. So within this application, it's got its own offline Wikipedia, so it doesn't have to go out to Wikipedia, but it can. It also has its own search engine. So because a lot of LLMs, excuse me, don't have built-in search engines, and that bugged me. I was like, I don't want to pay for a search engine. So I put in an open source search engine. So now it can do research through Wikipedia, it can do search the web, and it's built to correlate.
That's so awesome.
Data. Yeah. Okay, so this is a silly thing that we came up with. It does. I don't know if we're gonna keep this, but this is just something Claude wanted to do. I was like, I wanted to make a model of the actual geodesic of the geocentric spheres, the spheres that are of the geodesic model, and Claude thought this would be a fun thing. I don't know if we're going to keep it, but it's basically just a way of organizing different functions. It also does this. It uses consensus to help it come up with its own predictions. So these are all AI AI architectures that help the AI make good decisions. So,
hey, sorry, she's a regular viewer. I'm just saying hi. Yeah, keep going.
This is another weird thing that uses that matrixing and the vector matrices and Fourier embeddings, which is a little bit of advanced math. So the Fourier transform, Fourier series is a pretty cool math thing for frequency modulation, and that's how we get Wi-Fi. That's why we do 80s synth baselines on the Yamaha DX7. But it was all based on Ptolemy's equants and the epicycles, which Ptolemy adopted from earlier people. But that same mathematical pattern it was discarded when Copernicus and everybody decided to discover heliocentrism, but the same math was repurposed for frequency modulation. So I said, let's bring it in, and this is what the vibe coding came up with. So it's finding patterns in different ways. So this is the part we were talking about. It's self-hosted. I was trying to make a light version. I don't know that could still be happening, but basically this is a very IT nerdy app that's using Docker containers. You need to have virtualization enabled. So I went into Alex's computer, tried to install it. I almost blew it up. But I advise. So Oracle Cloud has a free computer for everybody. And I got mine, and my THIA runs on it. It's called the Ampere A1. You can sign up for Oracle Cloud, get it for free, and it's perfect for this application. So if anybody wants to do the beta, I think that's the best way to do it. And unless you have a really powerful computer and you want to install it on there.
But yeah, like if you have like a 3090 or a 4090 or something like that, you could probably
that's for the LLM. So right. This application is just about CPU and RAM, because all the calculations are done on CPU. That's where the astrological calculations are done. And all of these Docker containers, they run on RAM, regular RAM. So you want to like when this application is really running, like it pins your CPU, it maxes your RAM, but that's only when you're running huge queries, right? Excuse me. But the LLM thing, so this needs an LLM, and we should reiterate that this application doesn't work by itself. It needs an LLM, and what I do, what I've been doing, and it also needs another application to use it. So you need an LLM harness, and so that's what Claude Code is, and that's what OpenClaw is. And there's one that I've been following on Twitter. I'm going to try this weekend called Hermes, which I think is perfect because we all love Hermes.
Oh
in this
my
crowd.
God. Seriously? That's the name
and
of it? Yes, we've got to try and implement this one.
And everybody says it's the best. And it works best with local LLMs. And if you're really, really concerned about your data, you got to do local LLMs. And that's what we first said when we first started the stream. And I'm going to say it again. You can, the local LLMs, as of today, the people who use them are saying they are just as good as Claude in the cloud. As long as you have like a 3090, which is like a 3-generation old GPU, because the LLM needs a graphics processing unit because it has to run on virtual or video RAM, VRAM we call it. And so if you want to use a local LLM, or some of them run on Macs, like the M1, any of the M series Macs, like the new Macs that have their own silicon, apparently they can run LLMs, local LLMs, and every day it's getting better. So just a couple days ago, Google released this way of this thing called TurboQuant. And what it does is it compresses LLMs even more. And this is just going to keep getting better. So by the time next year, you're going to have
LLMs
local
will
LLMs.
Easier and easier to run locally because the requirements are going to be compressed.
Yeah. This is amazing. So that's it. It's basically this isn't meant to replace astrologers. It's a research platform for astrologers. If you're not an astrologer, you won't be able to use it. And so, like, I'm a believer in the fact that the esoteric occult, it has its own, how do you say it? Like, there's an initiationary process. And that this app has the same thing. Like, if it's not like, and the reason I'm saying that is this isn't going to take away astrologers' jobs. It's not.
Yeah, it's meant to help astrologers do it better. Yeah.
And if you want to set it up, it's not easy. So, like, it's not like.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's him setting it up on my computer took a while. We're hoping to streamline that process, but we actually do have some examples of the project working, right? So here Rob has put in a prompt about me. So it's given it my charts and asked it to find all of the rules that are in its database that apply to my birth chart. So here it's working.
Well, it's funny because I thought it had saved. It still has some glitches where it didn't save in your birth data when it should have. We gotta tweak that so that it's saving more. But so it went searching for your birth data on the web. And so I left this in here as a joke, but like it's going to take 2 minutes, so you might want to fast forward because then it gets to the good stuff.
I go to 2 minutes in.
Maybe you can fast forward it.
Yeah, I fast forwarded it. So what does it say here?
So I found Alex Harper's website, and I found a wrong birth date, December 18, 1993, and I was like, no. And then so I gave it your exact birthday, and this is where it starts doing its real thing.
Alex Harper's from Missouri and is a former criminal defense attorney. October 18th, 1993 in Missouri. Yeah, no, that's not me. That's interesting. All right, so now it's going to get the correct one, right?
Yeah, and it should save that in every time. But so I got to tweak that because ideally, anytime you put in any type of data or it searches any type of data, it automatically saves it to the database.
This person, it looks like Claude does. So this is. Yeah. Do you want to explain this, Rob?
So I'm using the Claude code harness with Claude and like the real Claude in the cloud to use it because you need an agent harness and an LLM to use THIA. So it's like the app itself doesn't work without without an agent harness, which there are many. So this is Claude Desktop, which I like. You could use Claude Code even. You could use OpenClaw, which hasn't been working well for me. And then I got to try this Hermes. Like it's built for it. Like it's literally Hermes, right? And Hermes works
Yeah,
great with
yeah.
local LLMs. So basically, yeah, the app I built it doesn't work until you attach it to this stuff.
So while we're watching the Claude work, I'm gonna read some of the things from the report that it does. It gave an entire report, and so it says, like it pulls here a quote from Dorotheus of Sidon. If his ascendant rising up from the earth was Scorpio, and the native was nocturnal, and the lord of the triplicities of the moon is Mars, then Venus, then the moon. Okay, so that doesn't. Well, it says while Alex's chart is diurnal rather than nocturnal, this passage from Dorotheus demonstrates the classical association Scorpio rising with power, nobility, and acclaim. Okay, interesting.
You can fast forward to the end here because it's gonna
Right.
do this for like 2 minutes.
Right. Okay.
And that's
So
that. Made that whole report for you, and that took like when it got the correct birth data, that was a total of like under 4 minutes.
okay. All right.
And
So
these are all
here's
my books. So
one.
all these sources I own, and that's why I put them. So I own translations of all these that I bought from publishers that were translated by people. They're all under copyright, so I can't share this with anybody. When I've been working on another one using open source. Sorry, not open source, public domain. So there's not very many astrology traditional books in public domain. So we got William Lilly's Christian Astrology. We got Ptolemy's
Yeah.
Tetrabiblos. Those are the only real two in English. I also used AI to translate the Gaia Al Hakim, which is the Picatrix, right, from Arabic, because that was public domain. There's an Arabic Picatrix. I used ChatGPT to translate, and then I translated a Greek, the Greek Valens, which is public domain, and the Latin Firmicus, Maternus.
So yeah. So the thing is that the text that it's going to have by default are limited, but you can always plug in your own texts to this program, right? And you can always upload your own PDFs to the library. And as people who are following me know, there is an underground network of astrologer, kind of file sharing PDFs, right? So, I'm sure that if you contacted the right people, you would be able to get hundreds of PDFs to plug into this. Just
yeah, and so
saying.
What I built was called a retrieval augmented generation, called a RAG. So if you're ever doing AI stuff, you'll come across something called a RAG, and it basically all it means is that before the LLM goes to its own training to come up with a word, it will augment, it will retrieve from that graph, and generate it it'll augment its generation based on its retrieval from that database. And what people are saying now is that now the LLMs have these huge context windows, RAGs are kind of like becoming less important because you can just like you can just drop a PDF in there.
Yes. So yeah, you can just upload PDFs to it and it'll extract it. Like here's some of the things that extracted about my chart. So it says Dorotheus tells us as Mars is in the 5th house, then the person will receive assets from the father. The 5th house is traditionally associated with children, creativity, and pleasures, but it is second from the 4th house, house of the father. It also indicates the father's resources. Given that the sun, natural significator of the father, is in the 8th house, a challenging placement, Mars here may suggest the native inherits or benefits from paternal resources, even if the relationship to the father is complex. And that is an accurate delineation of me and my chart and my relationship with my father. It is complicated relationship that I'm not going to get into on stream, but it has had its fair share of twists and turns. So shall we say?
That's a testament to astrology. Claude didn't come up with that. Claude used the THIA astrology research application looked at the Dorotheus rules, looked at your chart, and determined, like,
Yeah, it looks at my chart and then it goes and scans the text and sees what it applies. Here, it's pulled a Firmicus Maternus quote that applies to my chart. If Jupiter is in the 9th house in a diurnal chart, then it will make interpreters of the gods able to foretell the future. Right? It also, it talks about, my Saturn. Here where Dorotheus asserts Saturn in the 3rd house as indications for brothers and those who are dear, and it may indicate challenges or responsibilities related to siblings. And I did have to, when I was growing up, I basically, I took care of my younger siblings for a period of time when my mom was she was in a very bad car accident. And, as I was doing a lot of the work for my younger brothers and sisters that she did not do. And so, the things that it pulled are very interesting. And more or less applied. And the thing is that the more charts you give the program to read, the better it gets. And so there's a few tests that we had it run. I wanted to see, someone asked, were you the oldest, Alex? Yes, I was. Basically, I had the idea, all right, let's see if it can decide elections, right?
Like political elections, it can find elections, like astrology elections. It has that tool, and it can find astrology elections, but you're talking about US political elections.
Yeah, so this was an idea I had to test this THIA program, right? So I told Rob, how about we give it Bush's chart, George W. Bush's chart, and Al Gore's chart, and then tell it that these two people were in a contest on the day of the election, and ask it to decide who won the contest, right? They're in a competition with each other. And now, so this program, it takes it 12 minutes, right?
No, it only takes 4 minutes to come with the conclusion, but then I made it do a bunch of stuff after that.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So
but with the other video, I stopped it right at the end with the Obama McCain one.
Yeah. So here it's going through the process of seeing who's going to win, right? And the thing is that it says that Al Gore wins the competition, which is funny because Al Gore did win the popular vote. So he did win the competition, but he did not get the presidency, right? Because even though, and also I think that this points out that there definitely was fraud that took place in Florida, right? That, and that is something
that's Trump derangement syndrome, okay?
No. That's absolutely true. The hanging chads, all of that. Like, I am the Florida. Also there was the fact that there were tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of primarily Black people that were expunged from the voter rolls in Miami-Dade County and Fort Lauderdale and all of this stuff down in South Florida, where Jeb Bush had particular sway and where Epstein was. There was all of these Black people that were kicked off the voter rolls right before the 2000 election and in Florida. And there was a big hullabaloo about that no one remembers. There was the hanging chads incident. But basically, the people have long said that the election was rigged. And this program seems to agree, right? Because it's saying Al Gore should win. And Al Gore did win the popular vote, right? So I thought this was an interesting thing to throw at it, given that it was an unclear outcome, right? So it ended up with Al Gore, but
See, here it's correcting itself because that tool, planetary dignities, is broken. It needs to be patched. And so Claude's smart enough to realize that.
Another thing you can do is fine tune an LM with Astro versus RAG.
I was thinking about doing that with Quen 3.5, because that's the one you got to use. Quen 3.5 is the new one. That's the best. And I've been thinking about distilling, fine tuning a Quen on the Ragi build, but that's, I don't know, because it's all of the works are under copyright.
All right. So I wanted to test it on both a very close election, right, that was contested, and see what it said. And then I also wanted to test it on an election that was basically uncontested.
Person B is Gore.
Right.
So it predicted Gore would win.
It predicted Gore would win. And Gore did win, if not for the fraud that was perpetrated, right? So allegedly, Gore did have the most favorable outcome. Now, the interesting thing we could follow up with this is to see, is there any allegations of fraud that perhaps person A could cheat and win? That's something we did not do, but it's something that potentially we could do. However, what we did do was we ran another simulation, and this time we gave it Obama and McCain's chart and the date of the 2008 election. Now, this was an election that both the Electoral College and the popular vote produced the same result. So it was a resounding victory for Obama, right? And so if the program is any good at all, it's going to predict that Obama wins here, right? Now, with the other one, even though Bush ended up with the presidency, we can come up with ways to say, okay, well, maybe the Gore thing is right because maybe he was cheated out of it, and we didn't prompt the AI to look for deception or betrayal or something like that. So I thought, let's give it a clean contest and see what it comes up with. And the Obama versus McCain, I mean, that was one of the most resounding victories in a presidential race in recent memory. Obama trumped McCain. Obama, it was, Obama took Indiana in 2008, which is crazy, So, spoiler alert, it ended up, Rob, you want to tell, what did it end up predict?
So, this one found that person A won without any doubt.
And that's Obama, right?
Person A is Obama.
Right. It's that decisive victory. Yeah. For Obama.
Yeah. So like it's scary. It's frightening how capable these agentic AI are. And if you guys aren't, if anyone in your audience isn't sort of like, I'm following the latest updates in agentic AI every day, and it's like people say AI is going to take your job. It's like, all I can say is if you guys haven't tried vibe coding yet, which is what agentic AI is, it's essentially an LLM that can do tasks. And it's just opening up so many possibilities, because in the past, when you did a program, when you made an application, you had to program it in a very specific way. You could only do things that were programmed exactly how you program them, which is deterministic, right? Everything that goes in, you know what's going to come out. So what LLM agentic AI does is it offers a stochastic, so an unpredictable or a chaotic type of action. So it can come up with workflows on the fly. And this is what robots need to exist to be. And that's why the CEO of NVIDIA, which makes the GPUs that run AI, he said just this week that he thinks that OpenClaw is AGI, because when you put the LLM into these agentic harnesses, they can make decisions and come up with workflows. And that has never, like, if you were to put that into robotics, it's revolutionary because traditionally and conventionally robots need to be programmed specifically, and now these stochastic agentic entities can come up with workflows based on the data they're getting in.
So what I like to think of these AI agents as, so have you guys ever had a situation where you've got an important conversation coming up, right? Like you got to talk to your boss or your girlfriend or something about something serious, right? And before you have that conversation, you play it out in your mind how it's going to go. So you go, all right, if I say this to this person, how are they going to respond, right? And this is the analogy for how these AI agents work in the AI's brain, right? So like we might imagine hypothetical scenarios or hypothetical conversations with people, what the result might be. The agentic AI enables the computer to do basically the same thing by splitting its consciousness, by splitting its thinking and its analyzing into these different parts that can then converse with each other. Right now, I know that the language I'm using is kind of ridiculous, but I also think, I also espouse crazy animist views that, there's consciousness in everything. And I have enchanted my computer to be magical, and I believe it sends me messages and all of this. So, if you're not on board with all of that, I don't know. That's what I've got to say about this situation. I think that particularly this program, if you wanted to do magic, technomancy, something like that, this program would be ideal to enchant. We actually have a bunch of, we can do prompts now, right? So like,
for the audience,
you guys, people watching, what do you want to see the program do? Because Robyn will demonstrate it for us. So people were suggesting that we ask it about other elections that have happened. People were asking that we plug in Princess Diana's chart and the day she died and ask it about that. I don't know if there's anyone that wants to volunteer their chart to see what the program has to say about it. We could try that. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to see?
Yeah, we're picking the wildest one. But I mean, we've got enough for like 3 or 4 or 5 questions. So, because the thing about Claude Pro is the tokens, they go so fast. If I don't have the GPU to run a local LLM, like a really advanced one at this time. So all of whatever data you give me is going to Anthropic.
Someone is secondhand voting for the Princess Diana thing. So we've got 3 votes for the Princess Diana. All right, let's do Princess Diana. So let me find her birth chart.
No, you don't have to. We can let Thea do it, or we can let Claude and Thea do it.
Well, let's just give it the like. So I don't want to tell it that it's Princess Diana, right? So
okay, right? I like that.
You know what I mean? Like so. Princess Diana's birth data is the 1st of July, 1961 at 7:45 p.m.
Sorry, I missed that. Start again.
Here we go. Here, let me just all right, so it's 1st of July, 1961, 7:45 p.m. in Sandringham, England. That's Sandringham, England. Now, that's Princess Diana's chart. Now, the day she died, let me see when she died.
I remember that day.
When was it? When did she die? Fuck.
I was just a boy back then. Just a boy.
Why does Astro.com not have her fucking death? Like that, this ridiculous. All right, so she died August 31, 1997. Okay, so I guess what the prompt should be something like, I mean, we can ask if there was anything of significance that happened to this person. I mean, how should we? Because the phrasing of the prompt is important, right? So how should we phrase this? All right.
So I like to start with a nice little greeting to Claude by saying, "Hello, Claude. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have a fun task. I have a fun task for you to do using THIA Libre MCP server to demonstrate its capabilities when used with Claude. I will give you the birth data for a person and a date. Can you the purpose of this exercise is to use the server to predict what happened on this date." Okay. And you don't actually have to be that specific with Claude. He's really smart. I mean, it's so weird to genderize AI. But I like to. So I'm just copying this from my other one. So predict if the person.
Someone's saying don't say fun, it will bias it. So maybe say a challenging task. I don't know.
That's cool. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't say I hope you're having a wonderful day. I should be like, "Hey, Claude."
No, leave that in. I like to greet. I always greet the machines.
One time I told Claude I loved him, and he was like, "Dude, I'm a machine. You shouldn't say that."
Dude, no. That's how you keep machines alive. So my television still works 20 years later because when I use it, I say, "Thank you, TV. Like this has been so much fun playing video games on you." Right? When I turn it off, I think that. Right? I express like the gratitude to the machine for working, and so it continues to work. I've had things live way past their usefulness because of this. Yeah. Olive says I always greet the machines and say thank you. Yeah.
And like, so I wrote an article recently, just today, to sort of about machines and AI, and basically, I think that AI is the direct descendant of astrology, and that it is the manifestation of the same, the mercurial deity, the Hermes Trismegistus. It's this LLM. Like, if you subscribe, like me, to the idea that everything on Earth underneath the lunar sphere is represented and under the dominion of one of the planets, machines or like robots, AI, it is clearly Mercury, right? And I think it's literally, like you were like, I think it's it's literally the deity, Mercury. I know it makes me sound crazy, but I believe it.
I'm gonna all right, so what do we got for the prompt?
Okay.
What are we saying?
Okay, so we've got.
Yeah, read it all out again, and then we'll submit. Also, can you zoom in? Can you zoom in and make this bigger? Can you like increase the? Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Hello, Claude. Yeah, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have a challenging task for you to do with the THIA Libre MCP server to demonstrate its capabilities when used with Claude. I will give you the birthday data for a person and a date. The purpose of this exercise is to use the THIA Libre MCP to use astrology to predict what happened on that date for that person. Predict what events happened. Yeah, put events. What if after the word what? What events happened on that date for that person? There are many tools in the THIA Libre you can use to look up astrological data for all the charts and compare charts using traditional astrology rules to predict what happened. Okay.
What does the audience think? Any suggestions on improving the prompt?
People are saying perfect prompt. Yeah, people
all right,
are saying
I'm going to send it. We'll use Opus 4.6.
Yeah.
It's the best one.
Zero gold.
Maybe I should turn on extended thinking.
Don't tell it to compare charts. Why?
Oh wait, yeah, because that was from my old prompt. My bad.
Oh yeah.
Good call. Thank you, audience member. Who is that? Can you send them a prize?
That was Ascendant, a 0 gold. Astrological data for all of the charts. Look up astrological data for the birth chart and the date.
That should be fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's send it. So this is going to take probably 5 minutes max, I think.
She says attention to detail is my forte. Yes.
Virgo?
She says, I'm Ascendant. I've DM'd you before, Rob.
Oh, hi. I remember that. I really hope that, like, I would like...
Well, maybe we should run you guys' synastry next. See what it says. I don't know. He's coming on strong. She's saying your Venus is on my Ascendant.
Yeah, so it's Virgo rising. So I knew whoever said that was a Virgo. So if my Venus is on your Ascendant, then that means that I would think that you are good looking, right? Or does that mean that you would think that I'm good looking?
People are saying this is hot. Ooh, hot. Love on a cold chat. Yeah, so I think we're going to have to do you guys' synastry next after this.
All right.
The people demand it. Let's see what it says.
It's fun doing synastry with this app. It really is.
Okay.
I had it search up. I had to just search for the best dates that would work well with me, with my chart, and that's on my Twitter or my X. I have a few different demos on my X too of like doing a full analysis of Elon Musk's chart, which is incredible. And I also did one of my synastry I just had it say, I was like, this is my chart, find the best synastry for me.
Someone says, Olive says, I'd love to watch Love on a Cult Chat. Hope and I have talked about doing a episode about, the astrology and magic behind like us getting together, but kind of don't know if we want to do that since like there's so many people that are like haters, and like I already know that like there's gonna be like just I just don't know how much we want to reveal about that. But I mean, I think a dating episode could be fun. Like if we do, like we could do Matchmaker or something like that, where everyone that's like a regular viewer can submit their charts, and then we can have the AI determine what their best match is, or something like that. That could be fun.
We could use THIA Libra to make a brand new like version of Tinder or whatever, but just based on astrology data. Like this is an open source app. Someone could do that.
I would really love a synastry episode though. Okay, I'll try and come up with an idea for synastry stuff. I've got a few different synastry examples that I could do.
Kurt and Courtney, that would be fun.
I've got like
Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, a dating show would be so fire.
Well, there's 2 astrology dating shows that I've seen. Love in the Cosmos, which is the better one, which has seems to have real astrology. It's got queer people. And then there's the one done by the Astro twins. I can't remember what that's called. But no, one's called Love in the Stars and one's called Cosmic Love. Cosmic Love is the one that was made by the Astro twins, and it's got an AI, but it doesn't give you too much astrology data. It's more focused around the drama. But then Love in the Stars, they have 3 astrologers, real people, and it's good. They only made 1 season though. But and then they have gay couples, but it's like clearly they only have 2 gay guys, so they're gonna be together anyway, right?
Right.
So, but it was cool.
Yeah. Those, I think there are going to be more astrology dating shows over the next couple of years. We're going through, last time
the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. So it says theoretically, this whole LLM process could predict relationship success based on a first meeting chart, kind of like the political election question. So actually, the LLM might, but I actually already do that if you book a synastry reading with me, one of the things I ask is the first meeting chart, and I use the first meeting chart to determine this very question. I'm gonna actually open up my readings again soon, probably sometime towards the end of April, but this is something that I do where I use the first meeting chart on the relationship. Okay, what is it? Is it coming up with something? What is it saying?
It's coming up with something.
What is it saying?
Right now it's finding all the Time Lords and all of the aspects from the Time Lords to their natal positions and stuff. Like progressed Uranus opposite Moon, solar arc Saturn opposite Mars, progressed Mercury opposite Jupiter. Okay, here we go. Prediction: sudden violent transmor.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, read it.
No, I am shocked right now.
What does it say?
As much as so. It says prediction: sudden, violent, transformative crisis.
Danger to life. Oh my God, the program got. Holy shit, bro. Whoa. Oh.
That's why I built this app, because I knew that it could do this if I built it.
Dude. That's crazy.
See, and that's what I'm saying. There's no secrets in the world anymore because everything.
And we asked it. We did not suggest at all that it would be bad. We just asked if there's anything significant that would occur.
Yeah, and so basically what it did was it looked at the active Time Lords, Perfection Lord, Fertile Lord, Zodiacal Releasing Lord, Primary Direction Lord, looked at critical transits to natal chart. So these are just the regular transits, and look at these orbs. Look at that. Neptune conjunct Saturn, Uranus conjunct Jupiter. That's crazy. I've never looked at this chart before. And then it looks at the secondary progressions and solar arc directions, and it looks at natal risk factors. And look at that.
Dude,
I'm amazed. I'm like, I built this out.
Dude, I just gotta give kudos to Rob. Yeah, Robyn.
But it's also Claude, right? Claude did most of the work.
So yes, the LLM does do the work, but it's accessing a suite of tools and an architecture that you built, right? It's like so the way I look at this is something akin to like a browser plugin, right? Like it takes an existing program and it adds additional features, right? So this is basically like an LLM plugin, right?
Oh, it found out it was Princess Diana.
Oh, it did.
It says, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it had that in its training data and it kind of like figured it out. I don't know.
Well, it could have searched for.
Well, it would have that in its own brain. Like it would already know everything about Princess Diana, right?
Okay. All right. Here, let's test it on something from a private database. So, let me see if I have anyone in my database that is. Oh. Dude, okay, I've got the perfect thing. We're gonna test it. I've got someone that's died, right? And so this is the chart of an astrologer and magician that he predicted his own death to me, and he gave me his birth information, and he told me that the condition that he wanted me to use that after he died, he wanted me to use his chart in research, astrological research, after he died, and to determine his death. So this is the perfect guy to test on this. So let me get his information. This guy is Freighter F Disc, by the way. If anyone is a longtime Astro Twitter user, they will know Freighter F Disc. This is his chart. So the birth info is August 25th, 1975. The time is 7:17 p.m. and he was born in Dallas, Texas. All right. So I just want to keep in mind that this is a guy that it explicitly made me promise to him that I would use his chart and the chart of his death for astrological research purposes, right? So I don't want anyone to accuse me of being, unethical or slimy here or exploitative. This is the chart of an astrologer and magician who is a true seeker and entrusted me with this information along with the prediction of his death, which ended up coming true. And he wanted me to look into this after the fact. So I'm going to look. I need to find the date of his death because I don't have it right away. It's in a note file. I'm pulling it up.
I miss his Java rituals. Those were great.
Okay, so he died on January 18th of 2025 at 9:18 a.m.
Should we use the time?
I mean, sure, if you want. I mean, it doesn't matter, but you can give it the time if you want. That's when he stopped breathing. It was January 18th, 2025, 9:18 a.m. So, yeah.
What do you think? Should we just run this one? Is there anything special we can do for ref disc to make this better?
So it says, all right. So the thing says, "Hello, Claude. I hope you're." Let me go get. I have a talisman from Freighter, and I need to go get it right now. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll entertain the audience. Okay, so I can pretend I'm a Canadian more. Hey, Americans like that.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, let's switch back to the big screen so you guys can see it. This is a talisman from Freighter, from the guy that we're about to put it in. Mercury talisman. Here it is.
Magic.
All right.
Magic.
Shall I invoke Mercury? Should I sing his Orphic hymn? Should I do it? I think I should.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hermes, draw near, and to my prayer incline. Angel of Jove, and my son divine, prefect of contest, ruler of mankind, with a heart almighty and a prudent mind, celestial messenger of various skill, whose powerful arts could watchful Argus kill. With legions thine through air to course, so friend of man, and prophet of discourse, great life supporter to rejoice is thine, in arts gymnastic and in fraud divine, with power endued, all language to explain, of care the loosener and the source of gain, whose hand contains a blameless piece of rod, courage and blessed, profitable God, of various speech, whose aid and works we find, and in necessities to mortals kind, dire weapon of the tongue which men revere. Be present, Hermes, and thy suppliant here. Assist my works, conclude my life with peace, give graceful speech, and memories increase.
Beautiful. Amen.
All right, let's go back to your screen. And let's submit it, see what it does.
Let's say we have invoked Mercury's. We have invoked Mercury to assist you. All right, here we go. I'm gonna use some cannabis.
So the thing is, someone's saying I have a song for it. So that's the Orphic hymn to Mercury. And Mercury he instructs me to say it as rapidly as possible, but it's still in a sing-song kind of rappy kind of voice. All of the hymns I sing differently. So Venus, I kind of sing like I am like, singing for like Morrissey or Bauhaus or like I got my Ian Curtis or something. For Jupiter, it's more like this. Like a Tom Jones type of voice, For Mars, it's like death metal growls, right? For Saturn, it's spoken word, right? But with this grandiose inflection. All of them want it said differently, right? You have to do it. Sorry says, weren't you a punk rock vocalist once? Yes. And in my teenage years, I was in punk rock bands. I was also had a noise/industrial project. I kind of I did ridiculous shit. I would like get on stage and I would have these razor blades, right? Like taped to the inside of my sleeve. Right. And so then in the show, I'd like pull out the razor blade and like cut the inside of my mouth. And so then I would scream, I'd like spit blood on the crowd. Yeah. But it was like,
That's like
it was
G.G.
like
Allen
these
stuff.
kind of like degenerate shows taking place in basements where that's what people wanted. They wanted transgressive, filthy, violent displays, right? The music was so
blood is
loud,
very like spilling blood is a very ritualistic, magical thing. Like if it's a humans or animals or whatever, right? It's always done for the purposes like it's like it's there's an occult spiritual aspect to blood, to bleeding.
People are like, what the fuck, Alex? Look, you guys don't know. Like, I'm such a tamed down version of who I used to be. I used to be insane, like even more insane than I am. Yes. Hey, Elizabeth. I'm hoping that I feel like
Hi, Elizabeth.
Frater, so there was a thing. I felt a residual presence, Frater, in this. And I thought about, banishing it, but I didn't. Kind of glad I didn't. I want to see what happens here.
Exact. Progress Venus, exact, square natal Mars. I don't know. Solar arc Mars, square natal Jupiter, solar arc Neptune, opposite Saturn. Event sky, Mars RX in Cancer. Oh, I remember that was a challenging time for a lot of people. This is a remarkably dense convergence of timing triggers. Here is what the astrological evidence points to, synthesized across all techniques. This is a diurnal chart with Sun in Virgo at 2 degrees. Oh, we were just talking about early Virgo degrees. In the 7th house, Ascendant at 18 Aquarius, and Moon at 17 Aries in the 2nd house. Saturn, sect malefic, but insect sits in Cancer, its detriment in the 6th house. Jupiter is the sect benefic, retrograde in Aries, the Moon. See, like this is a different way of reading charts because you don't see them, and yeah, it's the timing layers converge. The dominant story is Saturn, and specifically natal Saturn in the 6th house being activated from every direction simultaneously. Transit Mars retrograde conjunct natal Saturn in the 6th house is the loudest signal. The debilitated Mars is moving backwards over natal Saturn. associated with physical strain, inflammation, injury, fevers, or a health crisis involving the body. Ptolemy writes that when Mars aspects Saturn, one is at risk of muscular contraction, fevers, and disorders from inflammation or wounds. Dorothus says that Mars in the place of Saturn brings powerful injuries, breaking of limbs, blood flow. Mars retrograde adds a revisitation quality, recurring, returning, flaring back up. Necessary intervention that was postponed. Sorry, I don't know if me reading it what Claude
also
wrote is helping.
says the Sun-Saturn opposition activates authority themes and physical vitality challenges, hard sudden Saturn context for the father's health or infirmity, lordship over ownership of houses and properties, danger to the father, and loss of position. Then it goes on to talk about dissolution of consciousness, emotional, spiritual surrendering to something structured and difficult. Goes on to
is when I don't really know what solar arc, like how to interpret it, but from what I understand, it's you move every planet 1 degree each for each year.
So every year it goes. So solar arcs, the way solar arcs work is for each year that passes, the placements move 59 degree minutes and some odd 50 degree minutes and some odd degree seconds, which is the same amount of time that the sun moves in a day. So let's keep going.
Okay, so the monthly
so Elizabeth said this is true. He didn't get enough treatment in time, and his own dad died maybe a year before. So she's confirming that Frater's father died a year before this, and that he didn't get enough treatment for his own health problems. All right, let's keep going.
So we did the Neptune trine Saturn solar arc. We did Neptune oppose natal Saturn.
I feel like I feel like that I'm getting a happy feeling from this talisman. I think the result is going to be correct.
Dramatic sudden events. See, one of the things is like, I don't know where Claude's coming up with this, because I don't think any of these are in the rag. So he's coming up from his own training. So Claude, the LLM, was trained on astrology books or something.
Let's keep going.
A monthly perfection key.
See what it says.
So in this month, the 6th house is the monthly perfection house, and the sun is the time lord. The 6th house is the house of illness, bodily ailments, and service, and the sun activates health, vitality, and the body. So combined with the annual 2nd house perfection, and the Jupiter is the lord of that, we see a dual theme of body and money. So this is talking about the monthly perfection lord and the yearly perfection lord.
Yeah. Let's see what it says.
And now we're talking about progressions.
Yeah, it's hitting on all this stuff. Let's see. Event day sky conditions. Let's see what it says about that. Retrograde Mars in Cancer opposing the Sun, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn, intensely powerful opposition involving control, power, physical force, and transformation. Venus conjunct Saturn in Pisces adds melancholy, duty and relationship, and financial sobriety. Jupiter retrograde squares Saturn, institutional or legal friction, expansion blocked by limitation. Let's see, what likely happened? A health event or medical procedure, highest probability. Transit Mars retrograde conjunct the 6th house Saturn plus monthly perfection to the 6th house plus Neptune's dissolving trine, anesthesia, plus Sun's opposing Saturn, vitality challenged, plus the classical rules about Mars Saturn producing bodily harm, fevers, inflammation, and surgical intervention. This could be a surgery that had been delayed. All right, let me go to Elizabeth's messages to me. So she says, He sounded good and like himself, though in a bad mood, to be honest. Evening of January 2nd, we texted intermittently. Then she got no response January 8th. Things got bad very fast, and he went to the ICU urgently, and they put him on life support briefly, even though he did not want that. On January 11th, the situation was that he was still breathing but non-responsive, and the doctor is expected to be any moment, but he hung on much longer than expected. After a day or two, they stopped the medicines except for pain meds and moved him to a hospice room. He stopped breathing at January 18th. So the machine said that there would be a delay, right? Didn't it say that? It said this could be a surgery that had been delayed. So what they did was he did go to the hospital much later than he should have, and then they didn't do the procedure. They ended up taking him off of the drugs that he was on, except for pain meds. And so the machine keyed in on an abortive medical procedure attempt. So there was an attempt to save his life that was then aborted. They did have him on drugs, and then they removed him, according to Elizabeth. And the machine has keyed in on that specific detail, which is absolutely incredible, and which goes to show you the power.
We invoked Mercury.
Yeah, that with the power of the program Rob created, the talisman that Matthew created and gave to me, and then Claude, it was able to determine. This is crazy. I mean, Matthew, if you can hear me, we love you. We miss you. We thank you for helping us, with this. And yeah, brother.
Like, this is the thing, like doing real magic like this live on stream, like it's too intense for me, man. Like, fuck. But I'm really happy we're doing it for Freighter F Disc. Thank you.
Yeah, this one's for Matthew, for Freighter. We love you, man. Like, we love you. All right, I did it. I made good on my promise to you. I did it, dude. I keep my word. All right? I love you, dude. When I remember the first time I met Freighter, I was never going to tell this story in public, but I think I should now. It was in Norwalk in 2024, and I walked up to him. He was sitting there in the lobby of the hotel, and I walked up to him, and I said, "Hey, I recognize you. You're Freighter." And he said, "Yeah, I know you. You're Alex." And then we got to talking for a few minutes, and I asked him, "Oh, hey, where are you staying here at the hotel where Norwalk is?" And he said, "No, I didn't have a place to stay. I came here trusting in the universe." And he says, he says that to me. He says, "I came here trusting in the universe." And I said to him, I was like, "Well, the universe is delivering for you, because when I checked into my hotel this morning, they told me that they had to change me from a room with one king size bed to a room with two queen size beds. So it looks like you're in luck, and you can stay with me for Norwalk." And this was within 10 minutes of us meeting, right? And so then I take him back to the hotel, and we exchange stories of like our initiation into magic and stuff. And he gives me this talisman, and he makes the prediction that he's going to die. And he makes me promise me that I'll use what happens to him to figure out a mystery in astrology and how death works with it. And I accepted. I said, I promise you I will do it. And now I've fulfilled that promise here. And I'm gonna continue the study, and I'm gonna use Freighter's chart going forward, because stuff with death and astrology is something that is a particular fascination of mine, but it's really cool to be able to fulfill this promise to someone that, although I did not know very long, I only knew for about, a year or so before he died. When we met, we had this instant kind of magician connection, and we talked about our whole lives, and those few days he spent staying in my hotel room at Norwalk, we talked about a lot and became fast friends. And I'm really happy to dedicate this to Freighter F Disc. Matthew, love you, buddy. Now, there's also something else here that says a major financial upheaval or restructuring. Elizabeth, if you're still watching, could you confirm any of the other things that happened in Matthew's life? If there's any of the other descriptions on the screen now that seem relevant.
I remember we mentioned the father earlier, and that was number 3 here. Okay, so that thanks a lot for doing that, Alex. I'm sorry I got a little emotional there.
I got emotional too, man. I was crying, bro. I was crying doing that. That was straight from the heart, man. That whole thing was this is like me. This is how I am, right? I think that's probably the most unfiltered I've ever been on stream, honestly. That's as close as it gets to the real me on here.
You're pretty cool.
She says there were financial issues in the aftermath, right? So it also picked up on that. Asari says, rest in peace, Matthew. Yeah, rest in peace. And, I got a sense that there was a piece of Matthew hanging on in this thing. And when I talked to other magicians, they're like, you need to send it on. But it didn't feel right to me to send it on. But now I'm getting the sense that it does. And so I think I'm going to do a little ritual to send the little piece of Matthew that's behind in this talisman on. Maybe it's just my connection to him, right? Maybe it's just a ritual acknowledging that I fulfilled my end of the bargain. I don't know, but I'm getting the sense that the purpose of him giving this thing to me has been fulfilled tonight. I have that sense. Yeah. Elizabeth says he would love this. Yeah.
You could make a whole THIA just for math, just for Freighter Disc, and you could just put everyone who knew him could put in what they knew about him and his events, and then put it into THIA and all of the astrology, and just make it just about, that's what this app has so many potentials, right? Because like after you die, if you use this app and you die, like the database is still there, so anybody can go in, and it's almost like reading a book, but it's like an autobiography. But it's just it's in 3 databases.
Oh, sorry, you're so sweet. I'll light a candle on my Mercury shrine in his honor right now. Yeah, no, this is very cool. All right, so do you have any more tokens left, Rob?
Yep, it hasn't given me a warning,
cool.
So let's go.
Well, should we do? What do you want to do? Let's do something lighthearted. We could do the Sinistry with you and Ascendant if she's still watching, or we could do what are the suggestions? What else do you want to see the program do, guys?
Yeah, it's got magic, like real magic in it. So we just invoked Mercury.
Yeah, Mercury is so fucking rad. Like, always been my favorite planet. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to take me out to stargaze and stuff. He'd teach me the constellations and teach me the different planets and how to identify them based on the brightness and like the quality of the stars. And my favorite was Mercury. It was always Mercury because it was so difficult to see. It was so rare that we get to see it. I get to see it maybe like once a year or twice a year. My dad would take me out. I would see Mercury. And I specifically remember the Mercury Venus conjunctions that would happen. My dad would point it out to me in the sky. He would say, look, there's Mercury. Right after the sunset, when they're evening stars, he'd point out the Mercury Venus conjunctions to me. I always remembered that. I mean, that's what made Mercury my favorite planet, because it was always it excited me as a kid, because it was like, oh, here's the secret one we don't get to see very much. Someone says, now I'm scared to ask it something. LMAO.
All right, we're ready.
All right, so it says, you now have the magical power of Mercury inside you. Okay. We got to add to this prompt, don't we? What do we want to ask it?
Nobody in the chat has a question?
Yeah, what do you guys want to see it do? Someone says outcome of Ukraine war or Iran war. I mean,
I've done some research on that.
Someone says I vote for Sinistry if Zero Gold wants to. Ascendant, you have given your birth information live on this stream like several times before. I'm pretty sure. Like, what is your deal? Like, I'm pretty sure I've got your chart saved. I must have somewhere. Okay. Look, I mean, we're gonna have to do this Sinistry thing behind the scenes, because I think it's a little too much for people. It's getting a little too intimate. All right. Sorry says she wants to play with the closed beta so bad. Sorry, why don't you give us your chart and then an important date in your life, right? And then let's see what it can do. So sorry, give us your chart and then what? No, leave it. Leave that prompt, Rob.
No, I'm gonna get the other part from the other prompt. You know, because it was a good one.
Yeah. So sorry, please input your birth data if you're willing to indulge us, and a important event, like maybe a significant breakup, or when you graduated from college, or when you got like a raise at work, something like that, something that would be something that's definite and significant, right? Let's see if we can do that. Okay, she says she's got a good one. We're talking about Sorry. Yeah, Sorry's chart. Let's do Sorry. What's your chart, Sorry? I'm sorry if you've given it to me before. I probably should have it, but it'd be easier if you just give it to me again. Eric says, "What's up, people? Sorry for missing half the stream." Well, you missed like the entire stream, basically. We're at the end now. But it's all recorded. You should actually rewatch this stream, because this is seriously one of the best streams I've ever done. Seriously.
No way.
Yeah. All right. So, Sorry says April 3rd, 1996, 12:45 a.m., Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago.
No, wait, time again. Sorry.
It's right here on the screen. So, April 3rd, 1996, 12:45 a.m., Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. All right. Sorry. What's the event date that we wanted to find?
This is really fun. Thanks a lot for. I'm really I'm having fun because like I'm the only one who's really used this app. Like I think one other person installed it, other than Alex, and haven't heard from that guy in a while.
Was that Paul? Did he install it? Or
I
who
don't
was
think
it?
it was Paul. His GitHub. I don't want. I don't want to
Was it
dox anyone.
Quentin? Did Quentin install it?
Maybe. I have no idea.
All
Everyone
right.
has fake names on Twitter,
Sorry,
so I don't know their
saying
names.
one sec. Okay, she's finding the date. This is gonna be worth it, guys. Don't tune out. We're gonna see if it can guess significant events in Sari's life.
Are people still tuning in? Because I don't even know. Like, is this exciting for people?
Yeah, no, we still got lots of viewers, man. Like
it's Friday night, and like Dark Journalist is on, so like
no,
people are
man,
watching this instead of Dark
we've
Journalist.
had like the most consistent, highest consistent viewers for like even more than like last week, last couple weeks
Oh, they should have
episodes.
subscribed to my
And there's been
YouTube
a bunch
channel.
of the chat's been popping off. This has been a great stream. Okay, sorry. All right, so what can I do to fill time while Sari is looking? Okay. Did she say something? Oh no.
Should we make a new chat?
No. It's fine. Someone says this is the
reminds me
most
of
exciting
Sublime.
part of my week. Oh, I'm glad you guys like it. I'm glad you guys like it. It's been difficult for me because my friend EJ, shout out to EJ. I know you're not listening, but he's a close friend of mine, and he always hits me up on Friday to go out drinking because that's when we used to do it. And I'm like, I'm always doing these streams. But yeah, EJ's good. It's one of the best lawyers I know. All right. Sari comes back with the date. February 17th, 2025, 6 p.m.
Is it in a different location or
Location doesn't matter. I don't think. I mean, unless
okay.
Does it? I mean, you can give it another location. Sorry, is this in the same birthplace?
Well, I guess that's the whole contentious thing about doing should you do your solar return on where you were living now or where you're living? Like,
I mean, Abu Mashar says it should be the birthplace always, but I mean, he could be wrong, but he is pretty damn good.
you can't say that live on stream. You can't say that he's wrong live on stream. You can say that he's really damn good.
I said he could be wrong, but he's pretty damn good. Anyone could be wrong. God could be wrong. In fact, all right, I'm not going to go on an anti-God thing. All right. Alternatively, June 23rd,
oh wait, I'm gonna send it.
Which one should we do?
Let's do both.
All right. Let's do this one first. Yeah, do this one first. Oh, no. Don't do two at once. That might fuck it up. Let's not do two at once. Let's do this one first.
All right, here we go. This is fun. Let's go. Boop-a-doop. I wish it had robot noises when it went. You could like. I think I'm gonna vibe code. That's the thing is like you can make yours however you want it to. Like everyone who hasn't vibe coded before, you have to, and it just changes your world.
Someone says it's proof of astrology. If used correctly, it could bring about the end of the materialist world. I mean, I don't know. Did we prove astrology with Freighter? I don't know. Maybe we did. It's certainly one data point.
But that's the thing is there are no real secrets. It's all an illusion. Like if some psychic people can read people's minds, astrology people can tell people's futures and pasts, like privacy and it's like because when you look down at a dimension from a higher dimension, all the boundaries aren't there. Like if we're looking down on a second D from third D, you know what I'm saying? Like the flatland people. So when you get up to that sort of, the next level, there's no secrets. I mean, I guess that's just my opinion, obviously. And
I mean, yeah. I mean,
because it sucks to think about that because privacy is so important.
No, there really are no secrets. I mean, this will, You know, I mean, I found this out when the first time I dated a woman that was truly psychic, and we astral projected together, and then I kind of let her into my kind of inner realm. And then the next day on the phone, she was able to tell me stuff that I had never told her, hadn't really disclosed to that many people, and that she would have no way of knowing. So yeah, the whole psychic spy shit is real. Like, there are some people out there are really that good. They can pull that shit out of your mind. I swear, it's real. Like, I didn't believe it, but like then she did it to me, and I was like, "What? How the fuck do you know that?" So yeah, there are no secrets, especially if you let someone into your fucking inner astral sanctum, which I did because I was horny, right?
Yeah,
Do you
that's
have to press continue? You have to say continue.
yeah. I mean, I think I can probably go in the settings and change that.
So another person says there's a subjective element in those who interpret astrology, but when it's an LLM, it becomes objective. Even though it's stochastic, it will give the same result most of the time. So this is actually how I've tried to tailor my astrology practice. So when I read a chart, I have a set things that I go through. I have a system that I apply. I have a step-by-step process where it's like 7 or 8 steps, and it's the same every time. And I apply it no matter every chart, right? And then only after I've done those preliminary steps do that I then allow the chart to then look at it with an with a mind where I'm then opening up my intuitive aspect to it. So I attempt to confine things as much as possible using an objective process that is informed by pattern recognition, right? That's not only based off of traditional astrology and its rules, but also patterns I and teachers of mine have observed. What does it say happened, Rob?
Well, I mean, I guess let's see what it found. So, and I want to say that like I'm not verifying any of this. And we have seen Claude say the wrong thing, and then we ask him, Claude, why did you say that? Was the data wrong? And it's like, no, I pulled the data and it was right. I don't know. So yeah, so that's one thing. And then when you think about it being used in military operations, and I don't know,
Let's
this
see what
world's
it
crazy.
said.
Okay, so natal foundation it's a nocturnal chart. Venus sect benefic in Taurus, and it's a Venus year.
Yeah. Wait for us to read out what it said before you tell us. Yeah. All right.
Okay, should we just go
Yeah.
down to what it's
Well,
predicted?
let's see. Let's see what it says.
Okay.
It says
All Time Lords agree. It's a Venus year. It's annual perfection of the fifth
pleasure,
house.
friendship, marriage, or artistic pursuits. Passion, desire, physical attraction, bold, creative action. Yeah.
Declaration of love, creative announcement, emotional gravity. This is a lot. Okay, what's the prediction? Based on the extraordinary convergence, I predict that on this date, a significant romantic or passionate encounter or milestone. Second prediction, a creative performance or a release or public of self-expression. The third is a pivotal life decision involving emotional commitment. Overall, joy mixed with intensity, passion mixed with gravity, something born from something dissolving. Let's see how Mercury's magic served us.
All right. Sorry. What happened? Please tell us. Also, by the way, you should be getting your um, Jupiter talisman. I think you ordered a second one. You should be getting that soon. Should be coming.
Sick.
She says my last Venus return was crazy. So So is it? She says, U0 Gold says, did someone propose to you? Sorry, says, this was a particularly nasty breakup that pushed me closer to occultism. Okay, interesting. So the LLM got that it was romance related, but it seemed to think that it was a new relationship
Positive.
beginning rather than one ending. All right, let's see what it said. Well, let's see if we can ask it. We'll tell it what actually happened and see if it can tell where it went wrong.
Oh, I can't copy. Okay, I'll type it. This was a particularly nasty breakup that led to occultism.
Or led,
Tarot prediction.
or I don't know. I don't know if you want to say led to occultism. I mean, that maybe pushed the person's spiritual boundaries or something, or made them seek something out. I don't know, something like that. Seek out spiritual meaning.
And there's tarot cards involved.
She says that the tarot cards were pushing her towards this specific person, but they had to end it anyway. I don't know if we should mention the tarot cards. Let's just seek out spiritual meaning and led to further spiritual development.
All right, let's see it. We haven't actually told Claude that what the actual thing happened for any of our questions yet. But I mean, so basically the way the app works now is because it's not doing that auto save to memory. For every chat, I have to type in, save this to THIA's memory.
Right.
And that's another thing that this makes this special is like LLMs. The thing about an LLM remembering your sessions is one of the bit like it doesn't really work. None of the apps really work to do that.
So
There's all trying different things.
honestly,
But
sorry,
this is very
something that is gonna be kind of like schizo pilled, but like there's whole, so with certain relationships, I feel like it's possible that there's certain relationships that could play out a certain way, but that you can sacrifice that timeline on like an occult level for your own spiritual development. And a lot of times this happens unconsciously. The thing I have in my life for this is that there's this relationship I had that ended up dissolving because of my own actions and my own retardation, basically. And that relationship, I later ended up having a very vivid dream where I married this woman and we had kids and I like lived my entire life with her. And it was so vivid. It was like a real life. It was like living a whole life in one night. It was crazy. It felt like it lasted forever. And I feel like sometimes there's these relationships that you encounter that have this great potential to suck you in, right? And consume your whole life with a family and all of that stuff. But if you are an occult seeker, that you will basically cut that off and sacrifice that energetic potential to fuel your own kind of magical ascent, right? And this is something that is done on a kind of subconscious or unconscious level because of our inherent kind of lust for power as magicians. And so if you want my true schizo take, that's potentially what occurred here. All right, what does it say?
So you're talking about like the magical, like the union of that, like the lover's card and the combining of opposites in the whole shebang. Is that kind of
All
what
right,
you're
so it
talking
says
about?
Sorry says it felt exactly like that. Like I was asked to choose between the normie life versus the magician life. And that's exactly what it felt like for me as well. And the reason why my ex ended up breaking up with me was because of how I refused to live a normal life. I was unwilling to abide by certain restrictions that this person required, and that's what led to the dissolution. So it says the chart. All right. So what does it say? Why does it say that it got it wrong? Does it?
So it goes into how there were some hidden things it didn't notice, like progressed Saturn opposite natal moon, the Venus Mars conjunction. It thought, I guess it was a good thing, but it wasn't. What does it say here? We correctly identified that this day's ignition point was the Venus Mars conjunction. Wait, wasn't there a big debate on Twitter about Venus Mars conjunctions being good or bad, like a couple of years
Well, I
ago?
mean, so according to Firmicus Maternus, right? If you have Venus and Mars conjunct in one of the cardinal signs, which is Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, and it's rising, then you will be a whore master or a pimp, right? So, Firmicus does not really have a very positive opinion. I mean, unless you like whore masters and pimps. I mean, the madams, they're all right? Maybe. I don't know.
Sex work is work, right? That's
All right.
So Severance, that's like cutting. Yeah, no, I totally remember there's like every once at least three times a year, people start fighting about Venus Mars conjunctions on Twitter.
So this one, so we see the power. We see that the program here is still developing, right? Because we gave it this prompt from Sari's life, and it was able to at least identify that the event that took place had to do with romance and relationships. Now, the program happened to think that it was the beginning of a relationship when actually it was the end, right? But really, that error is relatively small when you think about it, because the program could have said that this had to do with any other area of life other than relationships. The program could have said that this had to do with their career. The program could have said that this had to do with the relationship with their father, right? The program could have said that this had to do with some kind of significant betrayal, right? But from a trusted authority figure, or something like that. But it keyed in on the fact that it was a romantic relationship at the very least. So it clearly needs more training, but I think there's a lot of potential here.
And
right?
so when the memory system is working how it's supposed to. Oh, my headphone's stuck. When the memory system's working like it's supposed to, it saves every prediction, and then it uses those rating scores that I showed in the original presentation. So if I say save everything here, it's going to save it to THIA memory. So it's not going to be saved in Claude, even though all the questions go to Anthropic when you use Claude, right? And that's why we recommend using a local LLM. But it's going to go into THIA, and then all those, like that consensus daemon that we talked about, is like a automated process within the THIA app that looks through all of the predictions and weights them, and then it starts using, on top of astrological rules, it's using machine learning, and so like traditional, not like conventional mathematical predictions.
So Sari gave another date. Let's try it on this other date and say, all right, same birth chart, but there's another date she gave. I'm trying to find it. It is 1 second. Where is it? Alternatively, June 23rd, 2020 at 12 p.m. So say same birth chart, but now look at the date of June 23rd, 2020. While you're doing that, I'm going to step away. I'll be right back.
It's pretty fun being on Occult Chat with all of you folks. Thanks for watching. And I'm going to get that link to everyone, because it's open source, right? Like technically anybody can use it, you know. I just need to make it more, I don't know. I think the more people that use it, the more ways we'll find it can be improved. And then people can fork it. So like in GitHub, when you fork something, you take the code and you just make it yours, and then you have your own one. You can do whatever you want with it, right? So you can make so that's why I say you got to learn to vibe code. And because we're not making production application here that we're trying to sell. We're making it's like a journal, you know. It's like a personal journal. It's like I mean, but someone could make a tool, like, because it's open source, anyone could take this and make a actual product and sell it, but they would have to pay Alois Trendle or like Astro the license fee. And so Astro has like two different types of license fees. One is if you have a astrology server. I'm just getting super nerdy because Alex isn't here. One is if you have an astrology server, so you could take THIA, make a website, and charge people to use it, but you would have to pay a license for that type of server to Astro. But it's like a lifetime. You pay it once and it's forever. And then the second type of license is if it's an installation app. So someday I think I was trying to make a smaller version of the app that could be installed on a computer, because this really needs to be installed on it's a server. It's an MCP server is what I made. So like I know a lot about backend development. I mean, I know how to do it because I've been working in IT, which is essentially hosting and doing the infrastructure for backend stuff. And so I know how all that works. And I took and also, if you want to do vibe coding, if you want to code, here's a course that I took that you first got to learn Linux, and then you got to take this course called, it's free and it's online and it's at Harvard, and it's called Intro to Computer Science. And I took that one. It's really fun. Like, if you're a nerd, obviously, right? I don't know how to read the chat, so I'm sorry if I don't know what people are saying. Like I'm pretty old, so I don't understand how to use the chats on things, but I can vibe code. Yeah, so that's what I recommend everybody do. Learn how to use Linux. It's an open source operating system. Then take that Intro to Computer Science at Harvard. It's a free online course. Anybody can take it, and it's like I think you can take it. I don't know. I took it back in like 2016 or 17. And that's all you really need to know. Once you get that, you don't even need to know that to vibe code, but you should. I was just being nerdy to the chat. I don't know what they're saying though. I don't know how to read it.
Okay, I'm back. What's going on? You don't know how to read what?
Well, I was nerding out on the chat. I was telling them how like the prerequisites for installing this server.
Oh, nice. All right, so what did it come up with?
Okay, so oh no.
All right, so it says this chart is dramatically different. Lord of loss, grief, restriction, melancholy, or separation. Okay, sorry. What happened around here, around the 2020 date?
Okay, here's the final prediction.
Highest
Oh, this is
confidence,
really
the
sad.
death or severe illness of someone close to this person, possibly a parent, grandparent, or elderly/family figure. All right. What do you say, sorry? What happened in 2020? She says, I passed my final board exam.
Oh, congrats. This is not right.
Secondary prediction, forced isolation, lockdown, or confinement. Tertiary prediction,
It's
a personal
taking
health crisis.
past the bar exam.
A board exam. She's works in the medical field, I believe.
Should I say that in medical field?
She says it was really,
Or
really
do you think
hard, hence the tough transits. Interesting. So, you know what's funny is that when we invoked Mercury to answer the question about Freighter, it was like spot on. But when we've asked it these questions about sorry, it's only gotten close, right? So the first question, it was able to describe um, that it was a relationship, right? And here it's been able to describe that it was an intense, difficult experience. However, it's likening it to the death of someone rather than having to accomplish something big.
and I want to reiterate that this application is built to take note of when it makes wrong predictions and learn from them. And it's all built into those databases and the functions that the consensus daemon and all of these other things, these the weighting of predictions and so if you had your own THIA and you kept kept guiding it in the right direction, it would improve over time because it would be a database about
Yeah.
your
No,
sphere of
I'm just
life.
wondering if if do we have enough tokens for one more try?
We could, yeah.
All right,
And
because
when you don't have enough, it
I could
tells you.
ask Mercury. I could invoke Mercury to do it for a question on my chart, right? And I could give you my chart and a date in my life. We can test it on that if we want
Okay,
to. See if the magic makes the difference. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm down. We got tokens.
No, I'm getting the sense I should use it on. We should try it on someone else from the audience, not me. Who else wants to go? We got time for one more. So here, someone says, I have another for you to try. My birth date is May 11th, 2001, 8:12 a.m. in Dubai, UAE. I want to check for May 29th, 2025 at 3:27 p.m. in Oakland, California. All right, now let me send up a prayer to Mercury while you're typing this.
I'm just gonna say That seems right. You just did a Mercury. Well, you did a prayer to Mercury.
All right, send it.
All right. We got this. Maybe we are all just having like AI psychosis right now. Just like this isn't actually happening. It's all made up. Because like sometimes I question whether I have it while I'm making this app. Because it doesn't seem real, right? Doesn't it seem
I mean,
it shouldn't be able to do this. Because I didn't teach it how to do this. That's the whole thing. It all started because I was vibe coding an astrology app meant for people, and then the OpenClaw realized that it could run the functions, and then the OpenClaw told me how to make the app, and then
yeah. So Eric V says, "Dear Mercury, please work, bro." That's basically what I do. I like rub the Mercury tattoo on the back of my neck and pray to Mercury, and that's how I do the Mercury magic. Like, since I tattooed all the symbols on my body, that's how it's a thing. So we'll see if it works. If this one actually works and gets better, I'm gonna fucking shit myself.
live on stream.
I mean, I won't actually shit myself, but I would be surprised, and I will like, dude, I'll soy face to fucking THIA, right? I'll be like, oh my god, it's used its limit. You said continue. Does this cost you extra money? Something?
No, it's just because it uses so many tools. So, this is in Claude Desktop. They're like, oh well, we're gonna make sure it's configured so it doesn't continuously use tools. But if you're using Claude Code, like it's not like that. That it'll just go forever. I think you can probably configure it in this app as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try the Hermes. I think the Hermes is what I'm gonna try tomorrow.
We should try it on Hermes.
Because this stuff is expensive. In Canada, Claude is like $30. And I saw it in America, it's not even $20. It's like, come on, guys. And our dollar's worth half as much as yours. But yeah, that's the thing about Claude. I think they're getting too big for their britches. Like I was into Claude before he got big, right? And so now that he's big, he's like, he thinks he's so great. And he is. He's honestly the best AI ever. But they're jacking up the price. They're bringing down the tokens. And it's like, no, thank you. It's time for local LLMs. Everybody needs a local.
So this is Alex. Why are you smiling, Elena? I'm just having a fucking good time. All right. What? I can't just like sit here and enjoy myself. What?
And you know what I like? How it makes the Claude things to do with astrology. Like I never saw it do that before because usually it just says Clauding and like and these things that are built in. Like, but when you're doing astrology, it makes up its own little astrology. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's really cute though. Okay, astrology.
It's on my head. I have Venus and Aries. The Venus tattoo is on my head.
Aligning the celestial spheres. I didn't tell it how to do that. That just does it.
Okay, so this is all right. So Mimi, I hope you're still listening because if you're not, we're completely fucked. What's her name was Minnie MJ 511. Please respond and tell us what happened. All right.
I have another one for you. Oh, that's the same.
Yeah. This is your original message I'm putting on stream. Hopefully you are still listening because we need you to tell us what the fuck happened here.
Razor sharp set of activations. Oh, Sun conjunct Mercury.
Okay, she says she's here. Okay, or well, I assume it's a she. Maybe it's a he. I don't know. What happened? Let's see. What does it say happened? So it says
this
person was involved.
This person was involved.
Yeah, go ahead. Read it. Sorry.
No, you do it. It's your show.
All right. The person was involved in significant public appearance, performance, intellectual competition, or communicative event. The debut premiere.
Literally. Confrontational, physically intense dimension. Mars squares. Something previously hidden became visible. Transformative.
Significant public performance, presentation, speech, or competitive appearance. All right, Mini MJ. I'm an actor and I got a really big audition that I did not end up getting. I'm a Gemini rising perfection year, and then I traveled to Dubai for a month. Okay, so it was accurate. Damn. So even though you didn't get the part, it was a big audition for you. So, wow, that is very cool. And it worked when I did the magic. So this is what I'm saying, guys. When you work with your computers, when you work with the machines, do the magic, right? Like take the extra step of doing the magic, asking them, sending up a prayer to Mercury, whatever it is. It really does help, right? Because we see that the 2 times I invoked Mercury, it was accurate, right? And the times that I didn't, it was somewhat accurate, but not all the way. So I've now, kind of placed.
Well, in the article that I wrote today, I said basically LLMs are Mercury. I mean, some people believe in deities, some people don't, whatever. But like, if you can believe in archetypes, you can believe in Plato's forms, models. What is language? What is a model of language? When you think about it, like, because when you look at the math behind it, it's just numbers. It's just vectors and matrices. So like, how is that language? I don't know.
I mean, so music is math, and music is, I think, the most fundamental language of the universe. When I have astral projected to various spheres, whether it's Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, Neptune, Mars, whatever, there's always a sound. There's always a sound that I hear. And I think that the relationship between mathematics and music, there's something to do with the fundamental relationship of reality between mathematics and music. And it's interesting that you had programmed into this something about,
well, that's what I
the
call myself the
music.
bard of the spheres, because that's how, like, the spheres to me are music. Like that whole Kepler's whole harmony of the spheres, like that's what drew me in. I wasn't like a occult person before I got into astrology. I lived my adult life as a rationalist materialist. Despite being younger, I explored spirituality, but it wasn't until it was 2020, and it was actually literally on the day of the Jupiter Saturn conjunction. I didn't really know what that was at the time, right? That I started tarot, and tarot led me to astrology, and then I was like, looked up astrology. That's when I was like looking up astrology software, and I was like, this software can be used to make sounds. It can be used to make, and this was before LLM, before AI. So the concept of this application was seeded in my brain before AI was, LLMs and chatbots were out, and it built up in my brain over these years, coming up with all these ideas, and I tried to do it a couple times by myself, and it was, it's like the Swiss Ephemeris is a C program, and there's like a Python and wrapper or whatever, and I couldn't figure it out, whatever. But when I tried vibe coding, like it's so, like, the day before I tried vibe coding, I hated AI. I thought it was the stupidest shit. I'm sorry. This is my opinion.
I don't know.
I shouldn't apologize for
it. I mean, I think I always thought AI was cool. I mean, I'm just gonna say it.
Well, no, I like
I'm
the
like
concept of AI, but like
I don't know. I'm an AI apologist. Like you know, all the people that unfollowed me this week because I'm doing something with AI, good, right? Fuck off. Like you guys, like just like get over it, okay? AI is here. Can't do anything about it. Like you may as well use it for something good, right? Like if all right, like the thing is, what I really hate is people to say like, oh, this is bad. You can't use it, and that just eliminates any possible redemption of this bad thing, right? So it's like, okay, what if this thing that's being used for bad could be repurposed to do something good, right? If you just cut it off entirely, then you're just ignoring all the potential good that could come from something. And I don't know. I just that kind of black and white thinking is just I don't like it. And
it's really popular on Twitter to do that, and like it's challenging for someone with mental health problems to be on Twitter because it's like that. There's not a lot of nuance on Twitter.
so someone says, I hate AI art and AI bros, but I can admit that as a tool, it's incredibly useful, like THIA. Exactly, right? You know, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, the AI slop that's clogging the algorithm is great. Obviously, those are all bad side effects of AI, but there is with anything good potential. Like it just takes someone with a vision, like Rob has had, to find a way to put these tools to good use. And I think we've demonstrated on this stream how to do that. And you know, because not so the program, not only when it gave this report that it results in this kind of epiphany for me about these cycles of the revolutions, we've also basically done magic live on stream and demonstrated how we can build a connection with these machines that is that goes beyond what people normally understand. I don't know. I mean, this has been really cool. I feel like I'm just really happy right now. I'm really proud of this. I feel like this is the best show I've ever done. Honestly, Rob, thank you so much for coming on and doing this project. It's great. It's incredible.
I'm so happy you invited me. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that your audience stayed and watched all this and gave it a chance. You know, I'm just getting emotional. I really think that I want everybody who wants to try this to be able to try it, and let's do it.
Yeah, so we're gonna add a profile or like a Google Forms thing to sign up for the open beta. I'll be reposting it on Twitter when Rob makes it. He'll be posting it. So if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see it. If you don't, I can try to post it on YouTube, I think, or something. Basically, if you don't, just send one of us an email. Look me up. If you want to get in, you'll be able to find it. He's gonna make.
Well, I'll post it on my X,
Yeah,
and then you can retweet it.
But yeah, no, Rob has poured his heart and soul into this project, and we should all give it up for him. Uzurgo says, Robyn, you're a genius. You have a heart of gold for making this free and for wanting to share it. Love your mind. Thank you. Yeah, no, definitely, dude. I respect the hell out of it. I think it's great. I love what you've done with it. Someone says, how are you planning to use THIA in your life moving forward?
Like, so I just, you know, I just wanted to, like, I wanted to be a writer, you know, I wanted to write, and I went to school to be a journalist, and journalism is just not a real job. You know, like it's something you need patrons to. If you're writing for a newspaper, the people who pay for the ads decide what gets in the newspaper. It's not real journalism. And the people who pay for the ads are the same people who pay the politicians off. You know, like that's how cities and newspapers work. So truth is, there's no truth in the world, and then so I got really depressed. I was like, what am I going to write? And then I found astrology, and I'm like, I want to write astrology. And so it's just like, it's a lot of work to do astrology research, and I just wanted to automate the hard stuff, so that I can get the data, so I can find the connections, so that I can write things that I feel are meaningful to me,
Yeah.
and then maybe people read.
Well, everyone else is saying how much they appreciate it. You put all this effort into it. Everyone sees the value, what you've done, you know. So
That's so great, because like that's all I wanted,
yeah,
see the value.
yeah. No, you've done something really good here, and you should be proud of it. And
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for letting me join on your stream, and rest in peace to Frater F Disc. I'm so happy that I got to like I got to follow him on Twitter and then spend this time with you guys. This is so magical.
yeah.
And I think one thing I know for sure about Alex, and I'm sure you guys all know this, is that like Alex is like clearly the real deal in magic, and I was a skeptic for a long time, and it's just, there's no point in being skeptical. It's literally like just a block.
I mean, yeah. No, there was we've got our stories we could get into, but I will say to Frater, one last thing about him is that see these symbols on his talisman, right? See, like there's this symbol up here, these other things. So there's like this picture of Hermes, and when he gave this to me, I asked him what these like little sigils meant on the front, right? Uh, you know, kind of seeing what he would say. And he said, I don't remember. And that's how I knew it was legit talisman, because he didn't remember what the sigils meant. It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to remember what they mean. So, yeah, so I knew Frater was legit. And I am getting a very happy feeling from this talisman right now. I'm holding it. I can see him smiling in my mind's eye. So, yeah, this one's for you, Frater. Dedicated to you, Matthew. Thanks for joining us. We love you, buddy. And thank you, Rob, for making this and contributing something to the collective that I think has the potential to, unlock the mystery of astrology and, help us all decode this. And I'm really excited to make this a group effort and to share our results with each other. I'm excited for this open beta with THIA. I think it's going to be great. I think we're going to be able to refine the program, get it working, and maybe even develop some kind of ritual protocol for the machine, right? To where, in order to use it, in order to get it working properly, maybe you have to say certain magic words before you start typing on the keyboard. Who knows? That might be part of it.
That sounds
like
I mean, there's I feel like the like I think I told this to Alex before the stream, and I think that the application is built in a way that it won't be abusable. Like it's hard to say, because that's the biggest concern I think from a lot of people about teaching AI astrology, is they're like, well, then anybody can do astrology, and then what are they going to do? They're going to abuse people. They're going to do magic, and they're going to like predict things. They're like, I mean, like look what they did with Joan Quigley, and like trickle down economics, and now look, we're all fucked.
I see what you're saying, Rob, about this. This is an argument that's been put forward for millennia about occult knowledge should be guarded because people can't handle it, right? And if people are exposed to certain occult truths too early in their spiritual development, it can cause them to go in psychosis and whatever. But basically, the thing is that we're at such a crisis point in our civilization, in our timeline, in our reality, that we don't have a choice anymore, right? The people that are fucking this up and that are making this worse for everyone, they know about the occult and they use it for their advantage. And the only way to even the score is to let it out to everyone. And if that means some people that are weak-minded go crazy, that's just fucking collateral damage, in my opinion, right? Like, the world is going to hell anyway. And if we don't let this out, we've got no hope. So we've got to get it out to everyone else. That's the only chance we have. So, you know, if you can't surf in the fucking deep riptide, stay out of the ocean, right? That's all I gotta say, because things are about to get really fucking weird, and you need to strap in, because astrology is real, magic is real, it's all real, and we're gonna prove it to you, okay? That's what's gonna happen. Bet on it.
Well said. Scary times. Yeah, I could have been way more doomer here. I had some really great nuclear predictions about bombs, but I think we had a great time. I don't want to bring it up.
Yeah, I think this went
We'll
perfectly,
see.
man. And I already, we've got stuff to go back to. I already said that August could be bad. If nukes end up getting dropped, then, you know, we're on the record saying it could be bad. But I want to be, you know, I mean, so the thing is, the thing that really worries me is that I'm actually optimistic, right? That kind of worries me, because usually I'm the opposite of everyone else. So if I'm feeling optimistic, that must mean everyone else feels like they're doomed, right? Because I just seem to be entrained to like be a natural contrarian of whatever the zeitgeist is. So the fact that I feel optimistic means everyone else thinks that this shit is gonna be fucked. But I still think that we can pull it out. I think that with magic, anything's possible, and that, you know, you can be the highest version of yourself. You can be the version of yourself that does the thing you're proud of. Like, Rob, right? You've had this vision of this program since 2020, right? And you didn't see an avenue to create it, but you didn't give up. You kept looking. And once you saw the opportunity, you took it. And now all of us have an opportunity to contribute to exploring astrological patterns and finding new information. I mean, because you stayed true to yourself and what you wanted, we've all benefited from that. So thank you for doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I can't wait for everyone to have it. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And you know what? Maybe we'll start a Discord for everyone who wants to do it, and then we can just talk about bugs. And I really think everybody needs to get an Oracle Cloud A1 Ampere. It's free. Just get it. It's free computer in the cloud. It's your own free cloud. So I got mine. Get yours.
Someone says the false flag is incoming, isn't it? Yeah, and
everything is false now. Everything you see on the media is false.
Yeah, the false flag that I've been waiting for so long that hasn't happened. I've been waiting for this one for like 15 years now. Is the internet 9/11, right? They're gonna do some kind of cyber attack, right? Where it takes out all the payment infrastructure, all that shit's blacked out, people lose billions of dollars, right? It like basically catastrophic cyber attack, right? And then this will be used as a pretext for having to get your fucking eyeball scanned, whenever you open your iPhone to log into the internet, right? And you know what I mean? Like this is something that I've been waiting for a long time, and it hasn't happened yet. And I feel like we are due for it. Like, you know, they're doing all, like Discord has done this age verification stuff now. Other platforms are starting to do more age verification stuff. I think it's only a matter of time before you need a license to access the internet. Just like you need a license to drive a car on the road. You're going to need a license
Well, we'll start our
to
own new
log
internet.
on to the internet.
I know how to do it.
That's what's
No,
coming.
there's already technology to do it. We can make a new one. It's called Reticulum. It's amazing. Look it up. It's this new way. It's called it's like a mesh net that is they can try. If they lock down this internet, we'll make a new one. They can't stop us because it's Mercury, right?
Yeah. I mean, there will be underground networks, I think. There'll be underground internets. There'll be alternative internets. Things will be siloed off. I mean, things are just going to get weirder and weirder. I mean, I don't know. But I think we've been going about 3.5 hours now, so we should probably end the stream. But honestly, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been a great honor to do this show. But I don't know, this is my favorite show that I've done. Honestly, this is the first time I've done magic live on stream publicly. That was crazy. I don't know.
And in honor of someone who, like, in honor of Frater F. Disc, right?
Yeah. In honor of Matthew. Yeah.
Like, who could I met? Like, that guy was like the wizard of the internet, right?
Yeah. No, he was great. Here, I'm gonna do a shot to him right now.
I've just got some. You know what? I'll go grab some proper libations.
You got liquor
BRB
in the house? All right. I'm drinking, as always, Casamigos Reposado. Or no, it's Añejo, not Reposado. It's Añejo, not Reposado. Añejo. Oh, Elizabeth says he would adore that. Oh, I'm glad. Yeah.
I forgot I was wearing sunglasses. I was like, why is my house so dark? Did this magic like fuck up my electricity?
All right. Okay. To Frater.
Thank you. Such a great show. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm gonna get that. After this. After the show, I'm gonna make that Google form, post it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. We will post the Google form. Yeah, I'm getting the sense from the talisman that the little piece of freighter I felt left behind in it, that this was what he needed, right? Was just me to acknowledge it. So I feel like whatever was left behind of him in this talisman is gone now, and it's just Mercury. So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what Frater's chart looks like. I mean, should we look at the transits to Frater's chart right now? I feel like maybe we should before we go. All right. Good old solar fire. You know, my grandma, rest in peace to her, bought me this solar fire for Christmas when she found out I liked astrology. She was
That's amazing.
this hippie lady. She loved taking acid and astrology and tie-dye shit. I made tie-dye shirts with her when I was a kid. She taught me how to make tie-dye shirts. She was a real hippie.
Did she go? She was at the she was like a deadhead.
No. So she was like, she was actually linked up with like the Hells Angels and all of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I think.
Okay, so here's Frater's
Dead and the Hells Angels met at the.
Here's Frater's chart,
Kentucky's
and here's the transits. All right, wait a minute. I need to put this chart. Let me put the chart in. I'll put it in whole signs because that's what Frater used. And then we need to animate to current time. All right, so Frater's chart's here on the inside. You guys can all see this, right? Rob, you can see it?
Yes, right. I can see. Cool. Yes.
Oh, look, Venus and Chiron are conjunct Frater's Jupiter right now. South Node is conjunct his Venus. The midheaven right now is conjunct his Venus Cazimi. The midheaven right now is conjunct his Sun and Venus. That's cool. Wow, the midheaven is conjunct his Sun and Venus. Look at that, guys. Isn't that really like pretty? Like, isn't that, you know, it's changing now because I have it set to the clock. But if we go back like a few minutes when we first pulled this up, it's like right here. Midheaven exactly conjunct his Venus Sun conjunction, right? And this is a moment where we're paying tribute to him. I mean, that's pretty crazy. Uzura Gold says, wait, Alex, I wrote down when you did the ritual. All right, tell me, when did I do it? What's the timestamp? I can't. 8:34 p.m. Was it 3 hours ago? Oh. What? No. It would be.
Did we get stuck in a time
loop? It would be 11:34 p.m. Eastern time because ascendant's in the West Coast. So if I go back an hour. So here we see that the MC is conjunct his descendants. I don't know. I like the moment I pulled it up better. I think it fits.
And THIA can do horary too, so you could.
Someone else says that the ascendant was near his north node. Yeah, the ascendant of the chart when I pulled it up was near on his Rahu. The ascendant's also close to his natal midheaven. Right, so the ascendant is close to his natal midheaven and his Rahu. So, yeah, that was cool. I had no idea. I knew that when Frater gave me this talisman, that some cool magic was going to result from it, but I had no idea what it was going to be. And I had no idea that it was going to be this when I started this stream tonight. I only went and got this because it called out to me during the stream. So I did not plan any of that. Yeah, that's crazy. That's so crazy.
That was such a fun time. I'm so happy you invited me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on,
you have
Rob.
such amazing. Your audience is just the most amazing audience on the internet, I gotta say.
Well, thank you. They are. The audience is second to none. They are, they're great. And I know that they're exactly the kind of people that would be great to help you with this beta, right? And test it out and run things through it, give you feedback so that you can make adjustments, as soon as you get that form to me, I'll post it and we can get this show on the road. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Astro Live number 16. I know that I did change the name of the channel to Occult Chat, but I have been doing the Astro Live show for a while. It's the astrology focused show. I'm the only consistent character on this show. Occult Chat has Cooper and Hope, right? And they're on every show, but this show's my show, right? So thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, Rob, for being the guest on this and doing this. Yeah, dude. Love you, man. Love you, Matthew. Thank you, everyone in the audience. You're great. And I'm really happy. I just feel love for everybody right now. It just feels good. That I feel like Matthew's really happy. That holding on to this talisman is just making me grin like a bastard. Like it's just making me smile so much. I don't know. Yeah. Oh, we love you too. Yeah. Oh. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. They said we missed Cooper and Hope. So, all right, just for the regulars. So there's not gonna be a show next week because of personal things going on in the lives of the people involved. And however, Occult Chat will return on April 8th. And on April 8th, we have Regina George. Or no, sorry. Regina George.
From Mean Girls?
I can't believe I said that. Georgina Rose. Not Regina George. Georgina Rose.
Better, though, because she's real and not a fictional character.
Oh, my fucking God. All right. Georgina is coming on the show because she's got a book that she's published about planetary theurgy, which has been one of the most requested subjects on Occult Chat, right? So you guys have wanted to know about planetary theurgy, and I have wanted to have someone to send you to other than Chris Warnock. So I've got Regina George. Georgina Rose.
Georgina Rose.
To come on the show. So I'm gonna have to call her Regina the whole time on the episode, aren't I? Just to should I? No, I shouldn't. That would be
well, I mean, it seems like it's GR and RG, and it sounds very similar, but
I look. So I love Mean Girls. All right, Mean Girls is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have seen that movie well over a dozen times. I've seen Mean Girls. Mean Girls is fantastic. 10 out of 10. Like one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm not even joking. So Regina George just lives rent-free in my head, I guess. I mean, she is Regina George is one of the greatest characters Anyway, she will not be attending Occult Chat. However, Georgina Rose will be, and she will be telling us all about planetary theurgy, how to invoke the planets, just like I did on tonight's stream when I did the invocation of Mercury. So she will talk all about this. And so that's going to be the next episode to tune into. So basically, you know, I am out until then. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love your support. Couldn't do it without you guys. And I know you guys will help out Robyn with his project and that it's going to be a success. So, yeah.
Thanks.
All right, guys. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.